All right. There we go. I think we've got something going here. That's for sure. Let's just keep this going here. We'll get that. Okay. Lovely, lovely. How do we figure out? I don't even know how to get my YouTube chat up here. There we go. That's cool. That's pretty neat, honestly. I think I like it. I like it. It looks good. It looks good. It looks good. Looks pretty good. Unironically. If I just click on this and mute it, how does this look? All right, let's see. Let's test the chat here. How does this work? Hello? Where will it show up? Does it show up on my oh dear God, please tell me it doesn't make that noise for every chat. Okay. Thank God. That would be really depressing if that is the case. Oh my goodness. Okay. Mute event sounds. Oh, there we go. Okay. I think that mutes the event sounds, right? Cool. Yep. Cool. Perhaps we'll just get some wonderful little chatterinos in here. We'll see what happens. I don't know. We're testing it out. Theoretically, best case scenario is oh my gosh, this infinite window thing is fun. We'll not. We'll ignore that for now. Go back to here. Twitter notifications. Let's see here. Is there any way to tweet out? Make a post. Come join my live. And then how do I share this? How do I share my stream? Is that, do I go to here? I don't freaking know. I don't know how this works. Don't ask me questions. Share? Oh yeah. Copy. We'll go to home. We'll just paste that here and post it. Sure. All right, cool. Yeah, that worked. All right, whatever. Sure. Now, how do I get my YouTube chat up here? There's got to be a way to add that, right? Settings, nope. Let's see here. Editor. Studio layout. Let's go out of Pixlr. We're gonna chill in Doomer subreddit right now. How do I open up? Let's see here. Mini feed. Pop out events, filtering events, skip alert. Pause alert queue. How do I add? Oh, that's not right. Overlays, scene, alertable widget, collectibles, alerts and widgets. Editor layout. We need to drag and drop a mini feed. Legacy events, editor display, audio mixer, scene selector, stream preview, recording preview, website. There's got to be a way to add the chat in here, right? Cancel? Really? There's no like chat in OBS? This can't be right, right? This cannot be right, correct? I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe it is right. We'll see. Actually, here what we can do. Open this up. pop this out. Move this over here. Unironically, just put it like this. Then we can see ourselves as well as see the chat replay in real time, yeah? And then I'll just see. You guys will unfortunately be delayed because you're freaking losers. Hahaha, losers. That's cool though. I don't know. All right, let's do this. Okay, we got everything set up. But let's go back to DoomerCircleJerk. Okay, this is gonna be fascinating. That's for sure. We're gonna be just looking at DoomerCircleJerk. Okay. Okay, this both sidesism really makes me angry. I hate it so much. It's so frustrating. It's just me. Is there no insight for what's going on the internet? It feels like both sides just keep pointing the finger and feeling like they've got bigger numbers. They're under attack by this weird fringe group, or this fringe group, the real ones in power, when in fact, all the fringe groups, most of us just want to live our lives. Okay. This is so frustrating. Let's, we're going to use this as an example for both sidesism. The types of problematic posts. We have... Whoops. We have both sidesism. Let's say isms. Both sidesisms. Example. Here's the first example of the both sidesisms. And then we have another one's gonna be the well, wait, we need, there we go. Yeah. Okay. After both sidesism, we've got, let's go back to here. See, like this mascot stuff is so fucking annoying. I hate, why is it cool to be disinterested and apathetic towards politics? I just don't understand. Like, oh, ape too smart for your politics. That's so dumb. That's just, like, you think it's cool to just avoid, like, because it's like, no matter which side is, you know, just because two sides are extremely vitriolic towards each other doesn't mean there is not a side, a good side, or a side you should take, or a position you should advocate for and fight for actively while you're engaged in this content. It's so, oh man, it's just dumb. I hate it so much, but this sort of both sides crap is so damn frustrating to me. I hate it so much. But it is what it is. I mean, people be tired, I guess. Let's see here. Is it just know how to sign what feels like going on? The other stuff is oh my god, they're calling it out? Someone's actually genuinely calling it out here? This is nuts. Not even trying, I mean you, this thread. It should be renamed Conservative Circle, just a bunch of smug tech bros cuckling about people being worried about losing their rights. Guess what? The most marginalized It's right to be scared. The US government has a history of not giving them shit about them. Honestly, this sub is so cringe. I'm out. Downvote me to hell. I'd rather be there with a bunch of actually incels. People scared of losing their rights are unhinged idiots. This is the kind of shit that's so wild. I don't even know. I doubt this post will be up, but we'll throw it in there just in case. We'll keep an eye on this one. Not only is there both sides-isms, but shitting on people, calling them out for their BS. They're just gonna downvote this post to hell. It's not even gonna get that popular, to be honest. Let's see here. What else can we do? I don't know how to get to... We'll figure this out. Something else, but it's whatever. Okay. Yeah, this is like... Okay, yeah, so... This is one. Yeah, here we go. This is another good example of good old let's make fun of left is overreacting. I think these are the three main categories that we're just gonna stick with. And then we'll just go into each one more in detail. Because political apathy is a serious rising problem, especially in like, god damn, it pisses me off so much that people just want to ignore this shit. We'll go both sides here. Let's see. Both sides. We got see, and this is what's frustrating, is that the people who just ignore it, that like the people who are gonna ignore it and everything's okay, the whole mentality behind just nothing ever happens, bro, shit is so frustrating, because it's like, of course nothing, like, if you can just go through with nothing ever happening to you, yeah, because your rights were never under threat, but don't make fun of the people who genuinely are scared for their fucking shit when political stuff's actually happening, and then they think like just because they personally didn't have to pay attention or get involved for anything to change, and then like nothing actually bad ever happened. The reason nothing bad actually never actually happened was because of people who like this, who actually fucking get involved and try to make change and do shit and try to make shit happen. I need to get like a good we need to read up on the like civil rights movement. This is a perfect example, because I guarantee you during the civil rights era there were people who just didn't fucking pay attention and didn't care, and this like massive, you know, historical event completely changed how we view politics and how we view, you know, each other as people. And, you know, your average white housewife could have just moved along not knowing any of this ever happened and been fine. So It's just ridiculous. It's frustrating and annoying. But whatever. I think adding civil rights as a good example to counter the nothing ever happens, bro thing. But we'll go back to we need to get more both sides examples. Republicans and here what we'll do is why is this bad? Both sides. To a halt. Theoretically speaking, yeah, so basically super frustrating. Theoretically speaking, if you are someone deeply involved into one side, you have every right to fear your values and how you view the country to be undone by the other side's policies. Whether you are a staunch right-wing person or super far left, the other side being in power actively stops you whoops, I hit the mic. Sorry for the loud noises. Don't hate me for it. Jeez. Whether you use soundtrack or super far left on the other side of being stops actively power. Achieving what you want in your in terms of your political goals. Just because and then there's just like the real problem with this both sides shit is just that it's factually incorrect. The right, specifically right now, is so insanely off the reservation in terms of constitutional right, like just respect the Constitution in general. It's insane. Right, specifically is so insanely off the reservation. People have a hard time seeing it. The reason why is because of the rhetoric from the right specifically, being so charged for so long. Commies, like calling, like the Rush Limbaugh era type people calling stuff like, you know, all of the name calling from the right wing. Whoops, sorry, I hit the mic. The right wing media sphere is just insane. It was insane for so long that people have like just begun to think that this sort of destruction, this bastardization of your enemy is like what should be politically because it is politically rewarded. It's what gets you votes. It's what rewards you for and it's frustrating to watch happen. This fucking ape too smart for your politics meme is so, I hate it so much. It's so frustrating. Okay. Against the Constitution, going after rule of law, attacking freedom of speech, immigrants' rights, rule of law, freedom of speech, what else? All sorts of crazy shit. What we'll do here is grab, see, people I always talk like both sides. Something I'm having a hard time trying to organize what order I actually want to do this video in. I think what we'll do is we'll just start with like a nothing ever happens. There we go. We'll start with nothing ever happens. Why this is a dumb take. Then we'll go into but what we'll do is we'll just start. Aha, I figured it out. We'll start with trying to do a, like, steelman of this position. Rather, talk as if I agree with it. As if it's my position, and then we'll slowly break it down piece by piece. We'll break it apart, and then, like, as we go across each part, we'll just, like, kind of tear it down piece by piece until nothing remains, and it's exposed for the absolute vapid, horrid position that it truly is. When you aren't, I'm not in jeopardy of ever being deported. I don't have any reason really to fear my position of being harmed. Let's see here. There's into fear being, I'll just say, attacked politically. I don't know anyone, and if I wasn't always tuned in to other political content creators and following the news so closely, I would never know that bad shit was happening. But the thing is that for the majority of people, this will always be the case for anything that ever goes on politically speaking, right? Like, people like me, people that can post on r/DoomerCircleJerk, okay? People that can post on this subreddit being like, oh, ape too smart for your politics. These are the last people to ever feel the impact of political consequences, right? Because, like, just try to imagine this. Somebody who's, like, your average, like, if you just imagine, like, the average person in America, you know, you've got your French fry eating American factory textile worker, okay, in middle America, okay, in your rural town that's, like, decently conservative. If they notice the federal government being fascist and, like, being authoritarian, if they're the people to notice, it's already so fucked, right? Like, at that point, it's already mega doomed. So, like, I think the number one thing I want to get across here is that people who believe, who genuinely can get away with believing that nothing ever happens politically, will always be the last group of people to feel the political consequences of not caring. Right? Like, and this is why the marginalized groups, whether that be like minorities or women or whatever, are always the people who are more politically active, right? Why older people are more politically active, why young people in general just aren't politically active, because, like, they're going to school, they're going to college, they're like, their experience of life is very filtered through things that are, like, going to be the last things that will be touched. So that last barrier is going to be very important, because if that ever breaks, if that dam ever breaks, it's like, oh shit, we're kind of fucked at that point, right? Like, it's way too late at that point. Yes. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna just come up with a general outline here. I'm kind of all over the place right now. So how do I want to do a political apathy? Acknowledge. Just do this general video outline here. All right, let's try this. Okay, introduction will have something like if I were to be completely honest, I probably would be able to live my life completely unaffected by what's going on right now. If I personally checked out of politics and didn't check the news constantly and follow political content creators online, I would be far less worried and maybe even be mentally healthier because of it. But this, there is a major issue with this. If things ever did get so bad to the point where I was personally affected by it, it would probably be too fucking late to do anything about it. So being a doomer is actually, ooh, maybe that's what I'll call the video. Maybe I'll call it like this will be about political apathy, but like maybe it'll be like being a doomer is kind of based, or like why being a doomer is based. Why being a doomer is based, because that's true. It's kind of true with, I believe, let me see if I can find an actual study on this, because I'm pretty sure there was a study. Let's go to Google Scholar. Pessimists more realistic in their expectations. Oh, I'm probably not going to be able to find it. are pessimists correct? Or right? There was a study where basically they looked into optimists and pessimists and like quote unquote realists, right? Like people who are either optimistic about the future, pessimistic about the future, or like just general realists. And what was really kind of eye-opening about it was that the pessimists, the people who genuinely were like more doomer about the future, were actually the group of people who ended up being the most right. Like they were on average the closest to what actually ended up happening. Were the people that were like doomer, right? Like they got it right more often than any of the other groups. Which is kind of funny when you think about it. So, because like what that means is that basically being a pessimist, being a doomer, actually kind of makes you the most accurate to reality. As much as people love to make fun of doomers and be like, oh, it's never that bad, nothing ever happens. Actually, it kind of does happen. Shit does happen. Like bad shit does happen, and bad shit happens a lot. Like shit goes bad a lot of the time. And I think that the reason why we don't think that, why we think doomerism is cringe and lame, is because in retrospect, we kind of put a weight towards optimistic memories, right? Like we try to forget the really bad shit that happens because like, it's like it's an evolutionary advantage to, not overcommit your mind to like depressing bad shit, because then it lowers your ability to kind of work towards the future and actually plan, because you're like constantly depressed and thinking about how shit's gonna fail. So I think it makes sense why that would be the case. But yeah, being a doomer is kind of based. So I think that's what we'll go with, the general overview. But the main topic's going to just be about political apathy, because it's cringe and lame. Everyone should hate political apathy, and if you are politically apathetic, then you're kind of a loser and cringe and lame. Let's see here. What we are going to do is maybe I should add a Discord link somewhere in the description or something. Maybe if I throw it in the chat, will people be able to join via the chat? I don't know. Let's try it. Where do we grab? Invite people. Here we go. I'm just gonna copy. We're just gonna throw it in the chat. There we go. Right? That works. I swear, if that effect plays, I'm gonna be so sad. There we go. All right, let's move back over here. So first, we want to Steelman, Doomer position. Three aspects. Break it down into three aspects, which I think the core aspects are going to be both sides participate in, we'll say, charged rhetoric, to try to not poison the well with too aggressive language. We'll just say charged rhetoric. I feel like that makes more sense. And then not only do they participate in charged languages, but overall, in recent history, I will preface this because this is actually very important. In recent history, things haven't been that bad, right? And then what this results in is the idea that whenever a political party's in power, The other is overreacting because of these first 2 points. Because of the first two. And then what we get from all of this is that we can shit on people who are freaking out over political goings-ons. And then because and then the point is kind of proven. Because even like, for instance, all the freaking out, let's use a specific example. So we're gonna say the tariffs craziness. People were freaking out about Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. People thought economy would crash. But Trump backed off. Economy recovered. I'll put it in quotes because it didn't actually recover. It's really complicated. Like, it's I'll just preface that this is specifically from the perspective of someone who's like politically neutral, okay? From their perspective, just looking at the graph, right? Like just looking at the Dow or the S&P 500, like it recovered, right? Not really getting into the economic details of what's going on behind the scenes, but in general, it like the economy was quote unquote fine, right? So it's like basically, I think the core perspective is I'll put it in quotes here. I was able. Yes, a lot of the tariffs were repealed, and that's kind of my point. Is that like people? I think a lot of the doomer, the reason people get away with the mindset of like not having to pay attention to politics, the doomerism, the like, everyone's just freaking out. Everyone was super crazy, and look, nothing ever happened. Look, the economy was fine because Trump backed off, and nothing bad ever happens, right? But not kind of realizing that like. The reason why a lot of the tariffs were repealed and everything got dropped back to 10% was because of the bad shit that started happening in the backlash. And like, imagining if like, I can imagine a scenario where he doesn't back off and the actual like tanking of the economy doesn't just stop. Like, the sort of bad outcomes from the tariffs is the very thing that actually stopped it from going through. So just like ignoring it doesn't actually, make it go away, because if Trump just ignored it, right, if Trump just was like, hey, nothing bad ever happens, right, like I can just keep these tariffs in place because nothing bad ever happens, then the economy would have just been like it would have just been absolutely destroyed. So it's just dumb to think that like the only people that can have the attitude and actually not notice a difference are the people that it never would affect anyway, the people who have no power over the outcome of these scenarios. I personally would never I personally have never seen bad results come from a political problem. Every time I've heard someone say bad shit is about to happen, I can just ignore it, and I never notice something bad. Also, I think maybe part of the problem is that, like, a lot of these political issues are, like, super detached. So, like, let's say, for instance, someone in, like, the early 2000s is, like, complaining about the lack of educational funding that's being cut, and is like, oh my gosh, this is going to create, like, a generation where people, you know, will have, no one in America will have a reading level above 6th grade. And it's like, it's awful. Like, this is going to be horrible. And then someone's like, oh, this doomer saying that the reading level in America is never going to get above 6th grade. That's insane. Like, that's so stupid if you think that like people in America. And then lo and behold, today, what is it? The average, let's just look up what the average reading level in America is. Oh, yep. Below equivalent of a 6th grade reading level, 54% of Americans, according to Policy Circle. Yeah, so glad that you're... Oh, quick question. Does it make a noise for you? Can you hear the ding on my stream when you chat? Because I don't know how to turn that off, if it does. I can't figure out why it's making that dinging noise and how to turn it off. But yeah, like, this, the sort of effects of this, yeah, that's so annoying. I don't know how to fix that. How the hell do I turn that off? We're gonna figure it out, everybody. We're gonna figure out how to turn off the ding noise. Let's go into settings. Maybe it's in my settings. Audio. Let's see here. Appearance. Maybe it's in appearance. Chat settings. Screw you, Streamlabs, and your dumb chiming every time someone chats. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm trying to figure it out, is because it's going to be super annoying if I... Wait a minute, it doesn't chime if I have the... What the... Okay, so it doesn't chime if I have the overlay up, actually. If it's like the window that's selected. Because you didn't... Those two chats didn't chime, yeah? At least I didn't hear them in my headset. That was weird. Oh well. I don't think there will never be enough people chatting, at least for now, for this stream. I'll figure it out on another stream. I'll figure it out later. People can get annoyed at the chat chimes. Screw them. Okay? Yeah, so... Screw the chat chimes. Okay. But yeah, so the whole, like, imagine, like, I can imagine a scenario, like, imagine someone, we're gonna keep this separate because this is, like, an important point. Political consequences are extremely detached from their, like, inflection point, right? So someone complaining about the lack of educational funding like 3 decades ago, leading to everyone in America not being able to read above a 6th grade level. Would sound to this subreddit like a doomer. And yet, Today, 54% of Americans cannot read above a 6th grade reading level. Absolutely insane. So that's just nuts, right? That's fucking crazy. And I guess this is a lot more than 3 aspects. I didn't really follow what I was initially planning to do with that, but it's whatever. So, both sides, overall, things have not been that bad. Whenever one party's in power, the other is overreacting because of what this means. And then that means we can shit on people who are freaking out. A good example of this would be the tariff stuff. Of course, we don't have to pay attention because nothing happened with the tariffs. Basically, their point boils down to, I personally have never seen bad things result from a political problem, so I can just ignore it. Apathy. Basically, there is a critical mass of apathetic people when it comes to politics. The more quote-unquote normal people who have the ability to ignore politics with no consequence, the more it allows people who are on the extremes to dictate what politics becomes. So I'm thinking, you know, if the freaking all the independents were to adopt this, maybe I can bring it to like a categorical imperative type argument, where if we live in a society where everyone is politically apathetic, then the very small groups of people who actually have like an insane amount of power, right? Like basically if we imagine a society where 95% of people are politically disinterested, that means 5% of the population dictate what 95% of people do. Obviously that's insane, but I guess the question then becomes, the question you should ask yourself really with this realization is that that sounds insane, and you may say that would never happen. But what percentage of this, what percentage split is acceptable? Right? Because eventually, like, if we just slowly, at what point do you say, oh, this is like acceptable, right? Like, because if it's like 80-20%, is that still too much? Is 70-30 too much? What about 60-40, right? If 60% of people, that's like over half, right? Like only 40% of the population is still controlling over half of the political outcomes of people. So it's like, is over 50% okay? Is a rule of majority? when people have like absolutely no say in what's going on politically? Should that be allowed too? At what point do we accept that it's kind of just nuts to allow no one to pay attention? Okay. So we're going to say, let's grab okay, that's a good point too. I apologize because my stream of consciousness is kind of going to be all over the place, at least in the beginning, before I get a good idea of how exactly I want to phrase this, how I want to order this video, because I just had this idea this morning, because my last video on basically on the whole, I had an idea that I wanted to do a 3-part kind of series of this, where like the first one's talking about uneducated political opinions and why that's dumb, and then I'm gonna make another video about political apathy and like why political apathy is dumb, and this whole DoomerCircleJerk subreddit of fucking cringe that I makes me so mad is so annoying. And then the third video is going to be kind of like, okay, what exactly is the way forward? What's my solution to these problems? I've called out bad behavior, right? Like I've said, oh, you know, just accept expert opinion and be educated. And then I'm like, oh, and yeah, also don't be uninterested. You have to actually try a little bit and be interested in politics if you want change to happen. And then I'm going to follow that up with, okay, now what? What do we do with that? I've critiqued what you shouldn't do and how you know, whatever, but like, how do you actually have these conversations? How do you bridge this gap? How do you get people interested? How do you get people more educated? What's the way forward with this? And I think I have a good idea of how to do that, at least off the top of my head. I'm thinking, I think I've got a base for how I want to kind of encourage people to go about being more educated on a grand scale. Okay. If we imagine okay, let's see here. How do I want to structure this? I'm so okay, first we need to, I think this is a good start there. We'll say that, and then we'll go into a layperson. I don't want to say a layperson. We'll say a politically disinterested person will view the current political climate that we are in as being filled with charged rhetoric. The right claims Democrats are defending criminals, letting anyone across the border, illegally voting. This is Obsidian. It's a note-taking app. It's pretty good. I like it. It's very fun. Easy to learn the kind of like basics of, you know, there's like the shortcuts are really easy to use. But yeah, it's Obsidian. It's like a little blue flint looking symbol, or purple. I'm colorblind, so I actually don't know if it's blue or purple, but it's one of the two, and it's like a little flint looking object. Across the border, getting illegal votes because of this. Wanting to... I did get the chat feed to work. I did. I figured it out. It works now, so that's fun. It's very fun. One thing that's annoying is that chime noise you hear. I don't know how to get rid of that. Every time someone chats, it makes a little chime noise. I have no idea how to get rid of that, and I'm hoping to fix that later. Trans your kids. Indoctrinating children. Etc., etc. Lots of insane rhetoric. However, the left is claiming that Trump is destroying democracy. Wants to go after law firms, restrict freedom of speech, violating due process rights, etc., etc. How does one even know where to begin? It might... Yeah, so... it might be, what is it, like seductive? No, it might be, what am I thinking of the word? It might be like the attractive? It might be a, what am I thinking of? Not like a good idea, but like a seductively good idea. One series on TikTok about how One Piece is really good, like parallel to police in our world. The manga is pretty leftist. Yeah, I started One Piece because my friend is like, a couple of my friends have watched the entire show and is like, and they're up to date with it. I've only seen through like the first couple hundred episodes. Yeah, I guess I could just say seduced. But I really liked it so far. I just don't think I just don't have the time to dedicate to it. I feel like I would never be able to catch up with it. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I've heard though it's very anti like I just know from the first episode it's very anti like world government, anti very like libertarian-esque in terms of freedoms and preventing like restrictions on money, on that kind of thing. It might be, or you might be seduced by subreddits like DoomerCircleJerk. I just got a ding, but what was the ding for? What did I get dinged for? I don't know what the ding was for. This is so... I hate this. I need to figure out how to edit those sound effects, because I have no idea what's going on. Anti-establishment, yes, that is correct. I'm gonna try to... I think there's a way to reduce the delay as well. I think I want to kind of change the default delay because it's kind of long as of right now. Subreddit's like DoomerCircleJerk. Into believing that political apathy is the correct response. That nothing bad ever happens, bro. This couldn't be further from the truth. No, I don't want to say that yet. I don't want to just drop it right off the bat. We'll say, like, what is it? Nothing ever, oh, whoops. Yes. Nothing bad ever happens. Overall, in recent years, things haven't really been that bad. Right? I personally haven't been affected by anything. Still go to the store, have my job, can go to college, etc., etc. But both sides everyone who freaks out is just overreacting, dog. I can think back to the tariffs, where everyone was sure the world would end. However, the stock market recovered for the most part. And I don't see any empty shelves. Right now, I don't see any empty shelves. Maybe I think a good, like, retort to this, God, this is so crazy. Wait, what even is, like, if I just look up the definition of fascism, what does it tell you? The AI overview calls it a far-right authoritarian ultra-nationalist political ideology and movement is characterized by dictatorial leadership, centralized control, militarism, suppression of opposition, and a belief that natural or racial... Okay. See, this is, See, if you're not politically engaged, this sounds crazy, right? Like, if you're not up to date with what's going on, this sounds nuts to call this America, right? If you just go with the flow, you're never going to believe this. How do you get across to people? How do you get them to understand what's going on? Now I'm considering backing off of how I originally was going to do this. I don't think... Do I want to just come out and say it? I don't know. Maybe political apathy. Because the truth is, for people who aren't interested in politics, like, their lives don't change because, or like, rather, the really, really bad stuff gets stopped from happening by the people who are actually politically engaged in fighting for the bad shit not to happen. And they never notice. They never notice that the change. And it's really freaking frustrating and annoying for people not to, like, notice or care enough to get involved. Whoops. Oh, this is right. I just need to move over one. Let's see here. What do we... Lots of you doing. Okay, instead of China is authoritarian, say, I have a paper-thin understanding of politics. How to be an honest liberal. Wait. Gen Z donk. Wait, what is this subreddit? What is this? Okay, this is actually really funny. What is this? How to be an honest liberal. Okay, what is this? This subreddit is not ironic. We are Marxist-Leninists. Okay, but they're Marxist-Leninists. Of course they believe this. This isn't like... This would be like posting a picture of an anti-vax subreddit talking about how vaccines are bad and being like, what do these bots think they're doing? Like, of course they're posting anti-vax shit. They're an anti-vax subreddit. But whatever. Okay, but this is just... See, this is what I'm talking... Okay, this is a perfect example of... Okay, we're going to this post. This is a perfect example of just being factually fucking wrong, right? Factually wrong. Like, look at this. Let's go back to this. So I'm sure he's pointing out this post is the bad one, right? Or okay, I want them to get exactly what they voted for. A world with only food available grown in their property, no healthcare, no social security. At this point, they want America to be evangelical wasteland. Yeah, that's obviously hyperbolic, like, because he's mad at what's happening. But look at this. This is so true. Why? Like, literally, Donald Trump tweeted, truthed. Donald Trump backs off of deportations. Let's open up this link in new tab. Whoops. Where does he have his where's his post? Come on, NYT. Link to the post. Ah, cringe. Where's it at? Okay, NPR will have it for sure, right? Get out of my face, ads. No, that's not right. Oh, here we go. Yes. Okay, yeah, the farms and hotels reversal. Here we go. Yes. Okay, here we are. We found it. Okay, watch. So they're saying that their aggressive is taking the very good long-time workers away from them. Literally talking about the farmers, the people in the hotel and leisure businesses, okay? Trump himself, from the mouth of God Emperor Trump, okay? He's admitting that his, he somehow found a way to throw Biden in there, okay? But he's admitting himself that this, the deportations are causing farmers, to lose their workers. And that is literally what this post is saying. Why do you think, who's gonna do this shit? Who's gonna work on the farms? It's the people that are being deported. We already have farmers complaining that, yeah, like, and then this guy's posting it like, oh, look at this guy freaking out about the no crops, no food. Like, this is just factually, like, this is just wrong though, right? These people want slave labor and an indentured Democrat. They're not even, they get, oh my God. This is, see, this is just unrealistic. They're insane. A competitive wage for, this is, oh, okay. This is why immigrants take these jobs, because the competitive wage for these types of jobs, when you have no education, this is all you can get, okay? When they're not going to pay you $40 an hour for an educationless job, okay? Like, you don't even need a high school education to do this. So of course it's going to be super cheap. Do I think that's like good? Do I think that they should get paid dirt cheap and should be majority immigrant? Not necessarily, no. But like, realistically speaking, there's no fucking way you're getting $40 an hour for this job ever. In no world. Okay? And this is something like, and this is why we should have stronger safety social nets. Is because you should, like, the competitive wage is not going to be very high for this job, but we need people to work these jobs. And the only way to get people to work these jobs and actually genuinely enjoy them or like benefit at all, right, is to have a strong, like, healthcare and social safety net system in place for them so that they can work these jobs and not have to fear whether or not they can have healthcare or access to childcare or food and that kind of shit, right? Like, this is the kind of people we need these strong safety social nets for, right? There's no fucking way you're getting paid $40 an hour for this job. It's just insane. And this is exactly, you asking for $40 an hour for this job is exactly what this person's trying to tell you in this post. He's saying, no one's going to work these fucking stupid, like, no one wants to work these jobs unless they're getting paid a shit ton. That's just not realistic. That's insane. I can't believe it. That's so dumb. Oh my goodness. And this is a proof of why this doomer mindset is just fucking dumb. It's just wrong. It's just factually incorrect. Or anti-doomer, I should say. This anti-doomer mindset. People in the DoomerCircleJerk subreddit just are wildly misinformed. That's just ridiculous. I think no, it's I think what it reminds me of is like people who are actually able to believe this and get away with like being anti-doomer and like saying doomers are dumb and cringe, are the people who will never get affected by bad politics, by shit that like taking away people's rights and these constitutional attacks. No, they're never going to be affected by it, and they think that they can just be like, oh, politics dumb, whatever. They don't realize, like, they're the fucking ones who who do this. It's so dumb. Can I pin this? I wonder. Ooh, I can pin it. Let's pin the message up here. Yeah, look at that. I pinned a message. I'm learning. I'm actually increasing my effectiveness as a YouTuber. Ha ha ha. Hell yeah. Okay. Sweet. I think we can, let's move this feed down a little bit. There we go. right? Let's move this over here for right now anyway. That's better. Okay. Here we are. Perfect. Okay. Gosh, this is it's so frustrating though. This is the best America has to offer according to Doomers. Wait, what? What's funny is that every one of these problems that they're trying to point out here with this post, the cookie cutter, like, you know, suburban lifestyle and the insane traffic highways with high density with no good public transportation, with vapid consumerism, anti-capitalist imagery, the old people not getting healthcare. I assume healthcare is what they're attacking in this part, right? None of these actually are, even if you think these are good things, like I get it's a joke. I know it's supposed to be what's it called? It's supposed to be ironic. They're trying to be ironic with this post. Every single one of these, the Republicans have a terrible fucking position on and have zero understanding. Like, they have no policy prescriptions for these to solve these anyway. Let's see what the comments say about this. Oh yeah. Even if this is the best America has to offer, it's a dream come true for most of the words. This, unironically, okay, like, this is kind of true, no? But the problem with this is that the current Republican platform is trying to get rid of this. They have no housing policy. They have no, there's no way they're going to fund public transportation. They have no policies for public transportation. They have no, the fucking Donald Trump literally just said that, you know, buy fucking $2 instead of $5 or whatever. And then you have what, like they're getting rid of fucking Medicaid and all the healthcare shit. They're making cuts to SNAP benefits and all of that stuff. So what exactly are you voting for with this? Like, the funny thing is that they don't even get this. They're not even getting what's in the picture, you know? It's crazy. Like, is it insane to believe that something crazy might be coming down the pipes with this? Is it actually that insane in the current political climate to believe that something crazy might actually happen with the protests? Because the LA riots were nuts. I shouldn't even be saying riots. I shouldn't be giving that ground. But good God. Okay. This is I think another big thing we need to talk, another big thing I want to kind of talk about and mention in this video is going to be this sort of mindset of like are they actually ridiculous for thinking possible outcomes would be horrendous? Like, that's fucking nuts. We're just gonna throw this in here because, oops. not actually, yeah, they're not ridiculous for thinking that this is the outcome. They're not at all. Given what's, like, if people just let them do everything they wanted to do, yes, that would be the outcome, absolutely. Geez, it's so, God, it's so nuts that this is what we've fucking boiled down to. Oh God, what are the comments on this? Oh, this is barely a fucking post at all. But they still get Google due process, bro. People who get expeditedly removed from the United States still get due process. That's so dumb. God damn it. Average earnings have increased average inflation in the past year. Okay, wait, so why are they mad at this one? What's the... Inflation is the growth of the money supply, not change in prices. Is that a good take? I actually don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't. What is the definition of inflation, right? What actually is... Like, I know what inflation is, but is that like a good, off the top of my head, I'm thinking it's dumb, but I don't want to be stupid. The rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising. Yeah. Okay. The purchasing power of money is falling, which means, I mean, that could be a reason for inflation, the money supply, right? But that's not what inflation is. No? Prices are going up. Money doesn't buy as much. What did he say it was? The growth of the money supply. I mean, having more supply of money would cause inflation to go down, right? If people have more money... If people just have more money to spend, then inflation goes down. Because... Am I thinking No. Inflation would go up. I'm so actually retarded. Okay, that's fine. It's whatever. It's whatever. Fine. Fair. Because if people... God, now I can't. I'm thinking too many steps removed. Whatever. Okay, inflation. Civil rights movement. Don't agree that $60 for a game is goofy. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I think... Yeah, I think what we'll talk about... I think I've got enough content here for this, at least for this video. We have enough actual content. I think I know the general outline of what I want to, how I want to construct this video, but yeah, we'll do. So I said, fuck your opinion. not all opinions matter. And then we'll call this one something else, like something along the same lines. So I kind of want it to be about the same topic, just from a different perspective. But I think, let's see here. We have, how does Doomer? I don't want to mention, actually, I think I might not mention DoomerCircleJerk at all, even though I really want to, because that subreddit pisses me off so much. But it might just be more general about political apathy and kind of the mindset that nothing ever happens. But I still could use them as a case study, as an example of the downfalls and pitfalls of this sort of mentality, because it's really stupid and it pisses me off. Okay. So we'll start with, yeah, politics is whatever. Nothing bad ever happens. It's fine. It's whatever. I mean, really, honestly, I mean, me personally, as a straight white man, I've never noticed a problem at all with politics my entire life. It's never affected me, and you know, I have absolutely nothing to worry about. I have no, I've never seen anything politically bad happen. Never been targeted. Rights aren't being taken away. None of my income is changing. Okay, I have nothing to worry about. So why even be interested in politics? None of it even fucking matters anyway, right? Like, who cares? What we'll do... Exactly. It's so stupid to ever even have an opinion about politics. Why even care or get educated if nothing ever matters anyway? Nothing ever changes. It's been the same my entire life. I have no reason to care about politics. There's no reason to get involved at all. Okay. So I think first I need a really good understanding of political apathy, and I need to show that I understand it well, that I actually know what the fuck I'm arguing against, and have a good basis for tearing it down. Nothing ever happened. Okay. So basically we need to do, see, it's hard for me because, like, I just understand why, like, having apathy towards like, I'm trying to genuinely, like, oh no, it's about, it's a difference in perspective of what politics actually even is, right? Politics to your average, like, normie, like, what does your average normie actually even view politics as? To them, it's just, things. Oh my god, this is actually, I'm having a brain blast, okay? I'm having a massive mental bomb go off in my mind right now. Things that the government does to affect my life. That's what politics is to your average normie, right? Like, it's just things that the government does that affect your life. So if that's what politics is, then if nothing affects my life, that means politics doesn't matter. And nothing ever happens. This is like a really this is a really dismissive, like, narrow-minded view of it. But I think this genuinely helps explain it so much. I don't think anyone genuinely views it this way as like as a fault or like a dismissive or like I don't think they're purposefully this, like, make it this shallow, right? Like, I don't think it's actually this shallow on a personal level, but like, if you think about, like, I'm thinking about even myself, like, just before, like, while I was in high school, like, my first few years of high school, politics was just, like, I don't know, fucking what tax bracket my dad was in, right? Like, how much money at the end of the day was gonna get into our pockets? What sort of tests was I gonna have to pass to get to the next grade, right? Like, what standardized tests were gonna be in effect that year? So, to me, to the average, like, person who just literally has zero interest or care or understanding of politics, who doesn't really even delve into it beyond how it affects them, that's all it is. It's just things the government does that affect your life. And then if nothing is affecting your life, if at the end of the day nothing ever changes, if your life is basically the same, then politics doesn't matter. Nothing ever happens. And there's no reason for you, like, there's no reason for you individually to get involved unless something big happens. Unless something, like, massively changes in your day-to-day life. If nothing ever changes in your day-to-day life, there's like, it's getting involved in politics is stupid. And that's kind of just the end of it. And that's why political apathy is so appealing. And why both sides... This also feeds into why both sides are the same to normies. Because, like... Exactly. Yeah, you're right. The sort of spheres of influence. It's just outside of their sphere of influence. So if they have no effective control over it, yeah. As well as their personal interests. Let's see here. If you aren't interested / happening outside of your sphere of influence, you have no reason, not as in you have no reason, like, blameworthy, you have no reason, like, you should be blamed for this, but you have no reason, like, you just objectively don't have a reason to care about it, right? Although if an individual engages in a discussion about a political topic and then says they don't care, I think it's more so coping than they actually do care about it. Well, I don't think it's coping per se. I think that they see you. So, okay, let me try to sort of contextualize this interaction. I'm imagining a political conversation where you say, oh my God, they're overturning Roe v. Wade. This is horrible. Like, they're, XYZ catastrophizing the situation. Women are never going to be able to get aborted. They're going to be arrested when they cross state lines, blah, 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 blah. You go into doomer mode, right? And then the average normie kind of comes in and says, oh no, like that won't happen, you know, like that's dumb. This is just giving it to states' rights, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, states should have the right to legislate, blah, blah, blah. And then you like kind of push back on that. And they're like, well, I don't really care about it anyway. It's not that big of a deal. Like, it's like nothing ever happens, bro. Like, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I don't think they're saying that as a way to kind of scapegoat themselves necessarily. I think they're trying to say it as in like a defense mechanism for like, why the fuck do you care so much? Like, why are you pushing like, you shouldn't care so much. Nothing ever happens, bro. Like, why are you catastrophizing? That's so dumb of you to try to say all of this crazy shit's gonna happen. Nothing ever happens. It's dumb. Obviously, I agree with you that, like, that is the case some of the time, for sure. I agree. But I think that, like, it's not the only reason. And I think there are definitely scenarios where it's kind of like a defense mechanism for having to confront the fact that there are people who care, and it might actually impact and be something worth caring about, or not being doomer, or rather they're justified in being a doomer about this situation. You have no reason to care about it. And so, obviously, yeah, I'm going to have to rephrase a lot of this in terms of, like, trying to be good faith and put it in the most positive light possible. Because I genuinely don't think it's, like, out of lack of intention of feeling this way about things. I think it's just, like, a natural consequence of the political reality we find ourselves in. Because, if you think about how our government works, like the sort of federalism, right? Like the breaking up of the federal government with our state governments, and then even further still the local governments. In a small town in Montana, they probably haven't had a political change in fucking, like, what, 50 years? They probably haven't, like, actually felt a political shift in politics in, like, 50 years in, like, a small rural Montana city or town. So to them, genuinely speaking, their political reality is so static and not worth getting upset or, like, whatever about. And then they tune into, like, you know, the LA protests and see people burning cars and shit. And then they're like, oh my God, these people are crazy. When they have no context outside of their sort of political reality that they live inside of that's not affected by these things. So we'll just go back down to here. We'll say, overall, both sides rhetoric. I think the view. Let's see here. Waymo cars. Yeah, those poor Waymo cars, man. They're getting all the hate for no reason. Why are those crazy leftists, those crazy demon-crats burning those Waymo cars? They did nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong. Let's see here first. Oh God. All right. We need to reorganize our brains here real quick. I'm getting too distracted by. You know what? In fact, hold up. What we're gonna do real quick is I'm gonna grab an energy drink so that I can lock in here. But first, I'm gonna add a little you know, honestly, Waymophobia is a serious issue, and I do not want you patronizing that phrase in the chat, okay? I personally have a very traumatic experience with Waymophobia that I do not want to divulge on stream. So if you could not, you know, put that hateful rhetoric in my chat, that'd be really appreciated. Wait, where was I? What was I gonna... Oh, yeah, I was gonna put the transition slide or whatever in here. Let's go to my, whoops. Let's go here. Let's go here. Not protests. Politics. Okay. We need to add a little scene here. We're gonna call this, Be Right Back. Be right back. Oh. Whoops. Hold on. We're not gone yet. We're not gone yet. I just gotta add a new source. Image, BRB. Add source. Hold on, everybody. We're almost there. Ignore the black screen. There we go. Oop, that's way too big. Whoops. Maybe it's not too big. We'll just go like this. Yeah. That's good enough. There we go. Oh, and now we're in the webcam only mode. I don't know if you have access to the chat right now. But we're going to see. I've got some cool little transitions set up. It'll be fun. We're going to work on this more as we spend more time getting the stream ready. This will be more like I got this set up for, like, I think it's cool for, like, I don't know, Q&A maybe, talking to the chat, just chillaxing and relaxing. I like this setup. But obviously we'll have a Be Right Back slide and my desktop view. I'm going to work on some more branding and stuff later. Try to come up with some cooler designs, some more fun stuff. But we'll see. Let's go back to this. All right, yeah, I'll be right back. Grabbing a drink. Don't run away. We're gonna turn up the volume on the music though, because. Thank you for being so patient. I have returned with a lovely little, a lovely drink. We're gonna grab this, little headset here. Whoa. Whoops. Got ourselves a lovely little Celsius. Not sponsored. Wait. There we go. Yeah. Beautiful Celsius. Lovely blue raspberry flavor. It's Blue Crush. Pretty good. I appreciate Celsius because it literally is just caffeine. It doesn't have any other crazy other shit in it. And is only 10 calories. So beautiful. Lovely, lovely drink. Very good. Delicious. Okay. Where were we? We were going to completely try to get this layout done. Okay. So. I think. All right, we're going to. We've messed up. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay. We're just going to do a little layout here. So, we got introduction first. Whoops. We're going to grab, what are we going to say? Give good understanding of political apathy. Why someone disinterested in politics is attracted to political apathy. Why they may even be justified or at least not blameworthy. And then we can start going into... So the first part will just be kind of giving a good outline of why it might be okay, their position in general, why it's not the end of the world. Whoops. And then, no, I don't want 4. I want 1. What's happening? God damn it. What is this? Why can't I type 1? So sad. We'll just do this. We'll do dots, maybe. Nah, it's dumb. Introduction. Why? Examples in reality. We'll do r/Doomer CircleJerk. We'll show some posts in there because it's kind of unhinged and crazy. And then maybe do explain it from a... No, I don't think I want to use... As much as I fucking hate this subreddit, this is a personal vendetta I have against this fucking subreddit. I did say a while ago I didn't want to mention it. I have a personal... I hate it so much. I just want to make a video about it, but I know that, like, politically speaking, it's dumb. Also, it's a fucking subreddit. Who cares, right? Like, it doesn't actually have any political significance. It's just a group of people that I hate. I did say I did not want to talk about it, but God, I so hate it so much. What we'll do is just ooh, okay. Here's what we'll do. Hey, what was it? I think I saw there's a couple anti-subreddits that I hate. One of them is what is it? Let's just look it up. /anti or not? It's not anti, but it's like what is it? It's like one of the political subreddits. It's basically anti liberal. That's what it is. The I forget what the subreddit is called. I've only seen it a few times pop up, and I instantly was like, do not recommend me this fucking sub. I do not want to see posts from this sub. And it happened like 3 times in a row. And I was really mad. But they hate neoliberals. It's probably one of the really far leftist subs. And I was like, this is so dumb. God, I hate it so much. It's the people that, you know, basically say that neoliberal Democrats and, like, you know, center-left people actually hate everything to do with progress and human flourishing, and they secretly are fascists and want to watch the world burn. You know, typical. Examples in reality. I want to give real examples in current times. So I'm going to say the tariff overreaction. That's going in quotes, though, because it wasn't an overreaction. Tariff overreaction. And then the second part's going to be... I'll do 3 examples. We'll do the Roe v. Wade overturn. Although that... No, that genuinely has, like, a good... Yeah, I'm sorry to... if this is your first time hearing this, neoliberals aren't actually fascists, and they kind of hate fascism. They may or may not really want fascism to not be a thing. They don't like fascism, actually. It's pretty bad. Fascism kind of sucks. Just letting everyone know. You heard it here first, everyone. You can clip this. I don't actually... But you heard it here first. Fascism is bad. I, self-identified... I don't even want to identify myself as a neoliberal. The last 3 tankies I've talked to disagree with you. I know. I've had a few... like, I understand. I can philosophically understand where they're coming from. Like, I can philosophically get behind it. But it's one of those things where it's like... I can philosophically get behind the notion that science isn't objective and that, like, nothing in reality can be proven and that we live in a simulation. I can philosophically get why people believe that, or, like, the philosophical justifications behind why that could be a reality. But that's not the reality that we live in. And whether or not even if it's, like, true, that's not an effective way to view reality, right? Like, even if, let's say you're right. Let's say you are right that, like, we are living in a simulation. Does that actually change how we should prescribe morals and, like, how we should go about determining how to, you know, impact other people's lives and how we should structure our government? Like, even if we're living in a simulation, those people's pain are being simulated, right? Like, they're still experiencing the bad effects of these actions and these policies. So why does it matter? It's the same thing with, like, okay, I can philosophically understand why you think that liberals are, like, sort of secretly enabling fascists, and I can get why you can come up with an argument like that, but that's just not at all what they believe. That's not what they focus on. In a world where it was only neoliberals, that would not be the reality that you live in. Like, you can say that they enable it maybe, but, like, they're never gonna they would never actively try to enact it or like actively be pushing for those policies. They would be actively working against it. Yes, the argument is that they are a major like force in its rise to power, right? They're saying that, like, they say that neoliberals, with all of their noble intentions and their lovely ideals, would enable yeah. And like, I get that, but it's like yeah, no, it's okay. The delay is a little weird. The delay is a problem. I think there is a way to reduce the delay, but I'll have to figure out the settings at another time. But no, I think I still also, you have to think about it in terms of like it's a scale, a sliding scale of enabling behaviors, and you have to kind of contend with the fact of what the political makeup of people are. And I think this is the biggest difference between what neoliberals believe and what like leftists believe, at least in the way I conceptualize their ideologies. I could be wrong. I could be argued out of this position. I'm not staking my entire life on it. But basically my conceptualization of this dynamic is that neoliberals believe at their core, deep down, that everyone, like a society, should be built upon people's freedom of liberty, choice, being able to represent the ideas that they believe in and be able to sort of voice them and try to enact them into public policy, and to be represented in the government, have their ideas represented in the government. And every person, no matter what their beliefs are, should have the ability to like do that. Like, men should be free to sort of inscribe their beliefs however they want. And where that might enable fascism, I don't know. Well, I obviously don't agree with that, but like, for the sake of this conversation, let's say even if that is the case, the sort of rights, the core values of liberalism being that we want to enable people to sort of self-determine and give people the ability to sort of further their own political ends and be their like each individual has the right to their own self-determination. That's kind of just like, yeah, that's how the system works. Whereas like a person further left would say, like, in order to actually get to these better equality and higher ideals that we think we want, like better liberty, more equality, more better societal outcomes, we should restrict and limit people's ability to sort of actually have the freedom of political self-determination in order to ensure these higher ideals that we believe in, being equality, whatever else other ideals you want to throw out there, the really, societal progress and wealth equality and personal liberty, that kind of thing. They think that like the only way to actually ensure that is to restrict. At least that's how I view the whole dynamic. I want to say abortion, but I'm too ideologically convinced that abortion has already shown to be extremely bad outcomes nationwide to say this as like a overreaction to the Roe v. Wade being overturned. The one girl who's on life support, whose family is being forced to keep their child alive while she's pregnant so that they can attempt to save the baby, even though I'm pretty sure the baby already has like fluid in its brain and they've seen that it's probably going to die. So that's super kind of not cool. So I think that's already kind of a mark against Roe v. Wade not being a big deal. So maybe we'll have to come up with... The problem is I'm so ideologically convinced of the other position, I can't come up with good examples of where they're coming from. Let's say this would be like, oh shit. What can I, maybe we'll say, you know what, actually, I think I can make a Steelman argument for the overreaction of Trump is destroying democracy. And one more we'll do. You know what? Fuck it. We're only doing 2. I'm not painting myself with coming up with 3 different examples. I don't believe in this. Why am I defending them? No, I probably should. I hate being a good faith argumenter and trying to be a good person. It's so exhausting. Ooh, wait, Signalgate maybe? I can fucking Signalgate. Is veganism a political topic? If somehow veganism was to be enshrined into law, yes. I would say that it would be a political topic if like a state tried to outlaw the consumption of meat because of ethical, like on basically saying that it would be animal abuse to consume animal products, and then like adding like a statute saying like, oh, by the way, eating animal products also constitutes as animal abuse and it is a criminal offense now. They criminalized it. I think veganism would then become a pretty hot topic political issue at that point. But right now, I think that like it's not even here's what's really blackpilling about veganism, right? It's if you think about this, trans issues affect what, like 0.5 to 1.5% of the population. You know, there's a very, very small percent of the population who's actually like trans, and that issue is like a decision, you know, a very small percentage of the population actually has to make and decide between. And that issue has become like a national hot topic debate issue, right? And like that has made people mad enough to sort of bring it into the public light. However, veganism is still such a niche and like not taken seriously by like so much of the population that it will probably still not be any sort of genuine political discussion about, you know, vegan laws or whether or not companies should be restricted. Even like, you know, even super basic stuff, like maybe even just forcing companies to sort of like label their food as being containing animal products or not, I fear would be like super, no one would care. And it would be like super weird, like, you know, it would never launch into the public spotlight until decades from now. So if, even though veganism arguably affects, as philosophically controversial this might be to say, even though veganism affects way more people than like the trans issues, and like it's a much bigger problem, right? I don't think that it at all, like I would never claim that it harms people more on an individual level as with the trans issues does, but like in terms of like the scale of the issue and how large of a problem it is, veganism definitely takes the cake, unfortunately. It's also a hard see, the philosophical arguments for veganism are very compelling because it's like even if you say like, even if you get someone to admit that like, okay, they're like yeah, of course, animals and humans aren't equal. They shouldn't get equal rights. But if you even get them to admit that it's like 1/10, or even maybe even 1/100th of the possible moral weight or like moral value as humans, it instantly becomes something on the level of like a Holocaust, right? There's just so much horrible shit going on. If you ascribe any sort of percentage or fractional weight to animal rights, then it instantly becomes a massive issue that like needs to be addressed immediately. But there's something to be said about how people weigh their morals and like answer moral questions. I don't know if I think it's what you said. I think it's related to what you said earlier about it not being something that like actually directly affects people, about it like happening somewhere else. Like it's so detached from their own personal experience that they just cannot bring themselves to care about it, even though it's like morally wrong. I don't know if I'd say no one is culpable for the choices under a system they were born into. I think you do have some culpability in that system, because it's like I would say only insofar as your ability to change that system. For instance, if you were to be born into American politics, where you do have some sort of control over enacting change in a political system, where you actually do have the ability to change your system that you live in to a degree. Basically, wait, what philosopher am I thinking of that's that had the idea that your like your moral it's on the tip of my tongue, the how much moral action you should be responsible for, like your responsibility and like your moral culpability is related to the actual ability you have to to like sort of affect that end or like change that moral thing. Like if you have the ability to stop a murder, then you are 100% responsible for it, you know, because you had like 100% of the capability of stopping it. But like, let's say you were at like a half capacity and you were only 50% capable of stopping that murder, and like you could just maybe slow them down or something, then you're only like 50, you aren't actually that responsible for it. You're not nearly as responsible as you would be if you had the full capability of stopping the murder. And I think it's the same thing with political systems you're born into, where it's like, if you're born into a political system like America, where you do have some level of ability to change the system, then you do have some level of culpability in terms of what you're participating in. But if you live in a political system where you don't, you're just in an authoritarian rule regime, you have no culpability for the system you were born into. There's no reason to, you know, hold someone accountable for the dictatorship they were born into. Signal chat lease. That's what we'll talk about too. Signal chat lease will be the other one I can talk about. And then is this? Yeah, we'll just do this. And then next we'll do why. Absolutely. Veganism being a personal choice and a political act are not mutually exclusive. It's just a personal, but oftentimes political choice. I think that if someone was born into a slave-owning family, would they be culpable for purchasing more slaves and then? Yeah, no, I think that's definitely what I mean by if you have the ability to stop partaking in the bad action, you then are culpable, right? Like if they have the ability to stop then they definitely should. And if you don't stop, then you're morally culpable. And I think that's what you're getting at with your veganism point. Is that if you're born in a culture where it's difficult to stop partaking in the action, however, you are in the culture where you can acknowledge that it is a bad thing, then you're kind of morally responsible for stopping that action. And since then, you live in a society where you can enact your morals on other people through the democratic process, at least in America, then you are then at some extent morally responsible for trying to push for that ideology to be spread to other people to sort of raise the moral standards, if it were, as for the culture, like the society, right? Why these examples suck. Whoops. One is going to be tariffs. Whoops. Were stopped because they sucked ass. People protested. I'm sure behind the scenes, people were begging Trump to stop. Elon said as much, pretty much, when they had their little breakout Mean Girls moment, where he was saying that his tariffs were fucking horrible. Like, I'm sure behind the scenes, like, obviously in the public eye, we only got to see them be fully gung-ho for the tariffs. But I'm sure there were people like, are you sure you fucking want to do this, bro? Are you sure you want to do this? This is kind of nuts. This is kind of fucking insane. So I'm sure that was a horrible, like, politically costly action. And that actually was stopped by them. It is understandable, not forgivable, why they wouldn't. Just because we can understand the moral failings of others doesn't mean we can ignore the harm that results. I'm a little confused as to what you mean, like why you're, what the delineation between understanding them but not forgiving them. Like, for instance, you're trying to delineate between, like, it's understandable, but, like, when we say that we don't want to, when we're not forgiving them, isn't that kind of like saying we don't understand why they did that action? Because it's like, if we were in their shoes, we would want or expect them to do something different. I think it's with the assumption that they, or are you saying that, like, they don't understand, what they're, asking, like, what they're doing when they purchase more slaves? Are you saying that, like, they wouldn't they don't understand? Because I thought originally we were talking about, like, assuming that they knew it was wrong, or, like, someone was born. Okay, no. I guess we didn't say whether or not they were aware of it. I see. Yeah, I think I get what you're getting at. People participate, I'm sure. He backed off because of the bond yields. 100% he backed off because of the bond yields. So, that being said, Trump destroying democracy overreaction. Quick rundown of everything. Because this is just like fucking obvious. It's so obvious. Rule of law, Constitution. We don't excuse the action of the slave owner born into it, but we can conclude that there is a lesser degree of culpability than there is in a person who began the practice and wrote it into law. I see, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it was, you're talking about veganism when you said that. Okay. I think that, let's see here, the slave in a lesser degree, I think we do, yeah, hold them at a lesser degree than the person who started the system, but I think that, like, culpability, many times I'll have people say that they agree with veganism after a discussion, but then they won't go vegan. So I'd say they would be far more culpable for their actions once they acknowledge a moral right or wrong. Yes, that is true. If they can acknowledge that it is wrong or morally bankrupt to not be vegan in the society that we live in, then them continuing to participate in the consumption of animal products would be morally condemnable. And I think that until we get a cultural shift to get people to be more condemning of that behavior and more like shaming people who don't partake in it, you know, then I just don't think we hope to move people in that direction. And maybe it's a case of like people are just hardwired to like meat too much. Maybe humans are just too, we aren't as ethical and moral as we think we are, right? Like maybe this is a limit of our morality. Maybe people just will forever think meat's too tasty. Uh-oh. Sam, you should hop in the call and we should have a talk about veganism, okay? I can convince you to be vegan, okay? Because I'm trying. I'm gonna try to go vegan again. I know you. I don't know if you remember me doing it for like a couple years in high school, but I think we should go vegan, okay? You can do it. I trust you. I think I can convince you in a voice chat right now.
Zug zug.
Oh snap! Are you here?
Yes, what you say.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, yo. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Are you ready to be convinced to become vegan? Our lovely.
I'm pretty close to vegan already. Honestly, I only eat meat not vegan, vegetarian. Yeah, I only eat meat probably like 3 times a week. Me and Liz, we do a lot of like alternative modes of protein and stuff.
Okay.
Meat is just only a so-so for us, really.
Yeah. And how can we get you to what's stopping you from going vegan?
I wish there was more affordable options to get like vegan cheese, for example. I know I was joking about saying I like cheese too much, but like having more affordable options to get vegan products. Like if it was on the Aldi shelves where I shop and it was like at a comparable price, I would be all about it. I'm there for it. I just can't afford a lot of this stuff right now.
Let me ask you a tough question.
Oh,
do you think that the difference in price is like morally worth the harm that like that's being caused by not being, you know what I mean? Like like, do you think the difference?
I would say,
like, imagine if it was like, like getting a slightly more expensive like groceries right now could like stop or mean you're no longer partaking in like slave labor.
Yeah, that is true, and I think it probably is worth it, but I don't even know if Aldi has any vegan options really. Now I think about it. No, I'm pulling up the Aldi website.
Well, here's the thing.
Because I actually had a whole conversation with Liz about it.
Uh-huh.
Because we usually just bought like the cheapest eggs or the cheapest meat that we found. But then I started doing research about like where our meat was coming from, where our eggs were coming from, and I started looking at like their farm websites and like leaked stuff that was like coming out about how they're treated. I'm like, whoa there.
Yeah.
So I've whole ass stopped eating pork
Okay.
because the whole pork industry is terrible.
Yeah.
Me and Liz don't even eat pork anymore, and we now only do pasture raised. And I know it's not 100% amazing because they can just slap pasture raised stuff as long as it's like a 20 by 20 something field or something.
Yeah.
But
Actually,
I feel like I'm trying to do the best with what I'm doing. Yeah.
Ednato, are you able to join at all? Because I want to ask you I want to kind of grill you on what your thoughts are on like eating ethically sourced like animals that are given a good life and then killed and we eat them. Like, is that morally acceptable to you? Or like what's because technically I think philosophically anyway would be okay with cannibalism if people like if the person who got eaten like consented to it
Was okay with it.
and like gave up their body to that thing.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that as long as the person's like consenting. Sure.
I'm
that'd be
gonna
valid.
be on for probably another 30 minutes to an hour maybe.
Also, I wish bug protein was bigger over here. Like all across the world, a lot of people can eat bugs. Not really like in the western parts.
Yeah,
But have you ever went to jungle gyms and like ever tried their crickets and stuff?
I have not.
Dude, delicious. It's actually really good, and they're a good source of protein.
Worse than Hillary emails. So what do you think of so do you want to try going vegan? We can hold each other accountable. We can give it the old college try.
Let me explore it. Yeah, I think it'd be entertaining. Liz was vegan for like 4 years,
Why'd
so
she
I don't know
stop
if I
being
could sell
vegan?
her on it. I think she just likes meat. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's tough. Do you know why
Yeah.
she was vegan? Was it like a moral thing or
Animal.
was it just
Yeah, it's a morality thing.
okay, interesting.
But I think it's a lot of meal prepping. It's a lot of planning on what you're going to eat. You have to
True.
go out of your way to find stuff. It locks you out of eating at a lot of places.
I think that is going to be the hardest thing. I think eating
Yes.
like making your own meals is like difficult, but it's like doable, and like getting
Mhm.
vegan recipes and everything, that's fine. But like having to eat out and be vegan is really difficult.
Yeah. So
there's
that's
a
why
lot of-
we've kind of subscribed to the idea that we're just going to reduce how many animal products we eat and just try and mainly consume fruits and vegetables and like organic items as much as possible. And we
Yeah.
just limit how much we do. Instead of like stopping our use of like electricity or something, trying to save on our power bill, we just
And I think
turn off the lights when we leave the house.
I don't know if Bartle's still here, but I kind of think he's on the right track with the incrementalism.
I did not read what he said.
He said incrementalism may be unsatisfying, but from a pragmatic perspective, I think it's more likely to result in
Mm-hmm.
positive change over time in the context of the vegan issue, which I agree.
Yeah,
I
me
think,
and Bartle. Mhm.
I think it's like, for instance, funnily enough, I think like militant veganism actually does more harm than good for vegan causes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Alex O'Connor, even though he backed off his veganism, his vegan, like himself being a vegan, I actually didn't watch his video. I don't know why he stopped advocating for it. I know he said in his video that he still like is still like philosophically convinced of the position, but just doesn't argue for it anymore. I don't know why. I don't know why he did
How can
that.
you be philosophically convinced of the position but not argue for it anymore?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'll have to watch that video.
Who is he? What's this guy's name?
Alex O'Connor, Cosmic Skeptic, the atheist YouTuber.
Yes.
He was like he had like a good solid like year or two where he was super hardcore arguing for veganism, and then and he did have like a lot of positive change in that direction, like convincing a lot of people and like. Oh man, oh god.
Oh yeah.
He's weak.
He's
weak.
I never watched Cosmic Skeptic. Of course, never watched him too much.
Yeah.
But now I'm curious.
He's I really like. He's
say?
super intelligent. Like he's really well spoken. Argues for his positions really well.
He's weak. Meatless Mondays. Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think. Like, for instance, I think that, like, people would be much more willing to, like, hear you out and, like... I think the first step is making people more conscious of it and, like, more accepting of talking about it. Because then, like, imagine if, like, everyone was convinced that it's like, oh, yeah, I should be way more mindful of, like, where I'm sourcing my meat from. And I should probably try to limit my meat consumption and, like, you know... limit my animal products in general. Probably, like, oh, I should probably just switch out to almond milk. I should probably, like, just make a bunch of small changes that, like, effectively don't change anything in your day-to-day life. But it makes you more mindful that, like, that's something you should be thinking about. And then when a policy does down the line come along and it's like, hey, we are going to make it so that companies have to label their products as, like, containing animal products or not. Or, like, hey, we're going to make it so that... whatever, like more affordable or whatever, it actually is like a lot more people are like, oh yeah, like I would support that, of course. I think that's
already
a good
on board
idea.
with it.
Yeah, exactly. They're already on board with it, and then it becomes much easier to actually pass those policies. Whereas, like, I fear, I think we've seen recently with how politics has turned recently that trying to ditch incrementalism ends with extremism and people just principally being against what you're fighting for. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Funnily enough, I actually started moving away from meat because of health stuff.
Yeah.
And there's so many studies coming out back to back about red meat. It just being terrible for you, clogging your arteries. Yeah, messing up your heart.
We pretty much only eat chicken.
Yeah.
When we do
chicken's fantastic. Mm-hmm. I love tofu.
We've also been using turkey burgers instead of regular.
Mm-hmm.
Turkey burgers pretty good, but yeah.
Yes. Me and Liz, we've been making falafel. We've been doing a bunch of Mediterranean stuff. So we've been making like falafel.
That's good.
It's so good. Brassica is totally sold me on Mediterranean food. It is one of my favorite places to eat now. I never go there, but I mean, I love it. Delicious. Falafel, chickpeas. We do a lot of wraps. But I've yet to find a vegan cheese that has really, like, hit the same notes. And am I willing to sacrifice that cheesy sharpness or not? I don't know. I don't think my morality can take it.
That's tough. It's really funny because, like, this is the thing that's, like, I think it proves the whole, in my mind anyway, this sort of conversation and how people react to it proves emotivism, which is the idea that, like, morals aren't true or false statements. They are just expressions of our emotions. Like we say, when we say murder is wrong, we're not saying that, like, that's not, like, objective statement. We're not trying to say that, like, we're not trying to make any truth statement or say that has any truth value. What we're saying is basically, ew, murder, bad, boo, murder, like,
yes,
gross.
Make me feel terrible.
That made me
Do
feel
not
bad.
like.
Yeah, so I think that's very true because, like, for instance, no matter how philosophically convinced we are of the position that veganism is probably morally just and, like, we should probably be vegan and we should probably advocate for more people being vegan, it doesn't make us feel bad. So we're like, I don't know. I don't think I just like meat, you know? Like,
exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, unless it actually, like, gives you that feeling of moralness, unless it, like, gives you a moral reaction to it, you can't really convince yourself that it's morally wrong.
Oh yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Because if I didn't feel good, I'm like, oh, I'm a good person because I didn't eat a whole lot of meat this week. Yeah. I had tofu and I had some falafel, and I'm like, rewarded. What was that called? You said it was motivism?
Emotivism, yes.
Emotivism. That's pretty cool.
It's
Never
it's
heard
not
about
it's kind of fallen out of favor with it was popular I think in the 70s. Let me look it up. Motivism. Oops, this is Britannica. I just wanted the Wikipedia for the history. Okay, yeah. It was
That's Wikipedia.
It was in the early 20th century was when it was most prominent. And then it kind of fell out of favor because basically people want to be able to give moral prescriptions. They want to be able to say, like, I think it's much more popular for people to be like, oh yeah, morality is just relative. Everyone's like, you know, they're still making truth statements, but it's like, it's just relative to what everyone believes or whatever. Or they're saying like, oh no, there are moral rights and wrongs. Like it has to be, there are like right answers to morality. It's not very fun to just be like, oh no, it's just, you're basically just expressing an emotion and it doesn't really relate to anything substantive or objective. And then it's like kind of takes the fun out of arguing philosophical, like arguing for ethics, right? Because it like completely kind of takes the air out of the entire subject of ethics and philosophy.
It does.
So that's why like people don't like it, is because it's like, oh wait, now it's no, like we can't really argue. It's not that fun.
Cool idea, but it doesn't let us argue.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Axe
like,
it, move on.
I don't know. Yeah. Which is funny because that kind of also fits into the emotivist view. Like it doesn't make them feel emotionally good about it, so they're like, no, that's wrong.
Oh, that's totally true. Like, I don't like that. So you just proved it right there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, wait. Bartle says, well, it depends on your base assumptions / convictions, doesn't it? Since your emotional response to something will change based on your perspective. So basically, that's why people, like, if you think about it, that's why people might be convinced that morals are relative, is because it's based on your assumptions or convictions. Like your emotional responses are based on your upbringing, your genetic, predispositions, how your brain is wired from birth, your experiences as well, like how that affects it as well. Like all of this stuff is super relative from outside of factors. So that is extremely relative and dependent upon how you get your moral convictions. However, what you have to realize is that like the difference is what makes emotivism different from relativism, like a moral relativism or objectivism, is that those, whether or not you think it's relative or whether you think it's objective, both of those positions still think that moral statements are like truth. They have truth to them, right? Like even if it's relative, when someone says murder is wrong, they're making an actual statement about like the truth of whether or not murder is wrong. That truth might be relative. It might be a relative truth to that person. It might be true to them, but they're still saying that that is like a true or false statement. Murder is wrong. Whereas emotivism kind of throws all of that out of the window entirely and says you can't actually determine whether or not that's a true or false statement. Even when someone who like, in the same way that like feeling sad isn't true or false. Like you just like, that's just like a sadness is like in and of itself just a, is like a feeling that you feel inside yourself. It's like sadness is an emotion that doesn't have like true or false value. It's just like a
very personal thing.
Yeah, like
everybody's sadness is something else.
Being sad, like I am sad, can be a true or false statement, but the like actual feeling of sadness itself is not true or false. And that's what they're saying morals are, is like the feeling itself of when you see someone murdered and you like get that feeling of like, ooh, that's wrong. Like that feeling of feeling like it's wrong is what morality is, not an actual statement about whether or not it is wrong. And that's like the difference between emotivism and other moral frameworks, is that like they're not saying that it can even be evaluated as true or false. They're saying like the feeling itself of morality is like, it just is, that's all it is. There is no like sort of descriptive sort of a way to actually like bring it into reality. It's just that feeling. That's all morality is.
So what do you think of emotivism then?
I personally think it's it really explains it really well. I think that's why it's so difficult for people to come up with moral frameworks. I think that's why every single time someone tries to come up with like a really good system of morality, whether that be like utilitarianism or deontology or like whatever the system is, there's always edge cases people come up with where people feel like it's wrong. Where like there's always an edge case where people are like, ooh, I don't think that I like that answer, even though technically speaking in that moral system that would be the right answer. And so it's like, if that like is the case, that's why it's like always that feeling.
Bartle's saying something else. This is unfairly reductive of me to say of something I haven't read about. Yeah, me neither. But motivism kind of sounds like someone read some Nietzsche, was disheartened, then threw their hands in the air and gave up.
That's right. That's right. I understand that. I understand that analysis of it, but I think it's Nietzsche was much more. A lot of people misread Nietzsche for just like kind of coming up with what's it called? All right, gamers, what's up? You ready to roll for a little while? Oh, you popping some Molly before you jump into stream?
Oh man, that'd be crazy. We'll all be having a great time.
All right, let's do it. Where are you at?
Oh yeah,
I gotta. Oh yeah,
I gotta bounce here a little bit too.
Let's drag you in here. What's up? What's up?
What's up, Ednato?
What's good?
Yeah, nihilism. But his nihilism was much more sort of a. The Nietzsche didn't end the conversation with nihilism. Yes, exactly. Yes, I feel like you probably already know this if you're casually bringing up Nietzsche to talk about something else, then you probably know already what I'm about to say. So I won't go into it. But anyway, what's up? What? Let's talk about veganism now that you're here.
Sure. Yeah, I got a solid maybe 30 minutes.
Okay, good. So first up, let's talk about what are your gripes with Alex O'Connor? Why do you what's your bone to pick with him? Yeah.
Yeah. So he obviously being a big YouTube channel person, he was in contact with some of the biggest vegan YouTubers like Joey Carbstrong, Earthling Ed, yada yada yada. And Joey Carbstrong, after everything happened, when Alex came out, was like, "Oh guys, I'm no longer vegan because of personal issues." He wasn't saying anything at the time.
Yeah.
And what happened was Joey Carbstrong came out after that video and said, "Oh, this is what happened. I have text logs and everything to prove any claim that I have." Alex
came
went
with
to France. He went on vacation in Europe.
Okay.
And then he sent messages to Joey saying, "Hey, when it comes to the definition of veganism, like what exactly does it entail by what is practicable, which is, the definition per the vegan society, what practically people can do to reduce animal consumption." And so Joey said, "Well, I mean, obviously, people like us, we're totally fine just eating, plants and mushrooms and legumes, whatever." And then he says, "Well, I'm in France right now, and I'm just not so sure, like, if I'm going to be able to be vegan while I'm here." And so Joey opened up an app called Happy Cow. It shows all restaurants around you to have vegan options. And
cool.
It's like people can install it, and they can like add their own little things on there saying, "Oh, I ate at this restaurant and they had such and such options."
Okay.
And then obviously it just gets loaded up into the database that everybody else can see. So Joey looks up Happy Cow. He figures out where Alex is at, and he takes like a screenshot. And it's like there's like 7 restaurants within walking distance of where you're staying that have vegan options.
Oh my God. Okay.
Maybe this will help you, and then you can go ahead and eat out over there, wherever you want over there. I'm a little hazy on some of the details because it was a little while ago, but after that, it was after he returned from his vacation that then he came out saying, "Oh, because of personal reasons, he's not going to stay. I'm no longer vegan." And so Joey had the video with all the text
my
saying,
goodness.
There's there wasn't any real rationalization that Alex had at the time. And then the funniest thing is now even more recently, because he says that he still philosophically and morally is vegan. He doesn't live by the metric at all. He just agrees with it. he has recently started taking advertisement from like leather watches, or sorry,
No
not watches,
shot.
wallets.
Oh,
That's well,
And
okay,
so-
that's way okay.
Not-
Alex is pretty bad, but that's way worse in my opinion. That
Yeah,
it was
that's
like a
pretty tough.
financial incentive that he was just like, you know what, I'm not vegan
I'll
anymore.
sell out.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, sure.
I legitimately sold out.
Especially
Yeah.
when you like sell like veganism on your channel, you argue for it,
Yeah,
and then you're just putting leather watches on your channel. That's nuts.
so crazy.
It's kind of crazy.
Oh
yeah,
my
especially
goodness.
when he continues to say, "Oh, you know, I only get like ethically sourced fish or whatever it is that he eats."
Yeah.
And there was actually another YouTuber that I follow, another vegan YouTuber, that made like a 2-minute video showing all the inconsistencies in Alex's explanations for why XYZ would be okay and why he's opposed to, you know, ABC.
Okay.
And then it goes on to show that he's like supporting ABC, which is kind of funny. So it kind of breaks all of Alex's logic down, and it kind of calls into question what Alex is actually thinking, because he's always been like kind of not answering any questions directly, and it could be intentional or it could be unintentional or whatever
Yep.
have you. I don't really follow Alex, so I don't know. I don't really know who he is much more than that.
Bartle is very true. He says, once again, the allure of wealth reveals someone's lack of sincere beliefs in their principles. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you guys offered me $1,000 to eat a steak right now, I would say no. I would not take the money.
2,000?
Is there a value? Is there a monetary value at all?
Nope.
What about what ethically, like what sort of a trolley problem could we throw you in where eating a steak would be justified? Like a one person versus eating a steak trolley problem.
Morally, I'm not opposed to eating roadkill. In the sense that, you know, if
If
somebody's
it's already
driving down a road,
in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, and then it's an entirely accidental death.
Mhm.
Because obviously, if I say roadkill's fine, veganism becomes the law, but roadkill's justified. People are going to start modifying their trucks and driving around dark county roads at night to try and run animals over, and so then they have a legal quote unquote supply of animal products, but obviously the justification is still morally incorrect.
Yes.
But in the sense of like a truly accidental roadkill event, I have no moral qualms about that. There's nothing morally wrong with then consuming that product.
Okay.
Although it's still a little weird if I were to then compare it to, oh, grandma died of a heart attack. What are we going to do with her body? Bury her, cremate her, or eat her?
Okay.
Then,
Chicken
most
nuggets.
people are going to say
Grandma chicken
probably not eat her.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably
So-
not.
What are your arguments for like people who try to go the route of saying, like, are you of the mind that it's okay to like ethically source your food and from like animals who like have good lifestyles and like provided for whatever and like just killed near the end of their life, their natural life, and then the food harvested or whatever, and they were like given good lives and fed well? Is that ethical to consume animal products then, or no?
If they're killed, no. If they
shouldn't be
like,
killed
if
at
it's a
all?
Cow, correct. Unless, like obviously I'm fine with euthanasia.
Okay.
If it's justifiable enough, but if it's, they live, this cow, cows live roughly 20 years. If they have the cow up to 15 years old, and it's like, okay, we'll kill them now and then,
So
process them.
okay.
I would be against it because they didn't need to kill him. If the cow lives to 20 years old and then dies naturally, morally, I don't have any qualms about it. But again, I would still divert back to grandma died of a heart attack. Let's go ahead and kind of cut her up and have a feast.
Mm-hmm. What if the grandma? Well, I guess animals can't consent, so that throws that out of the window.
Yep.
So I had another question too. So I know you're a vegan, but what are your thoughts on like animal testing and like for like medicinal purposes, like research purposes?
A lot of them testing could be done on. A lot of humans are definitely willing to be test subjects on things,
Especially
And-
for amount of money.
Yeah,
Most
and there's a
definitely.
lot of laws that are in place currently that prohibit humans as being early test subjects, even if they, of their own volition, would consent to being a test subject. Like, for example, if there's somebody who has this new terminal illness and a prognosis of 6 months or whatever, and then they're like, okay, well, hang on, we got to test this medicine on these animals to make sure it doesn't kill you. I mean, the person is probably going to be dead in 6 months anyway.
Yeah.
Why not allow them to be tested on for this thing?
Yeah.
Besides the
Fair.
fact that functionally we use rats because they're very similar to
Yeah.
us in a lot of ways, but they do differ from us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would actually get more accurate results if we do it on humans.
Okay. What do you think about the? No, I think I get what you're trying to come over with.
I would
a-
actually support what you're saying. I think early testing on humans, as long as it's a consenting patient that totally understands all of the risks involved, I think that totally makes sense. And if
Yeah.
anything, it'll only accelerate our research.
Oh,
in
Sorry,
medicinal.
I got to be right back. 1 second. Give me like
Okay.
2 minutes.
No problem.
Oh yeah, go.
We can Sam and I can entertain.
Oh, yeah.
What do you
Starting a macaroni or something.
what was I gonna? There was something I was gonna ask you before you joined. So
What
do
are
you
you talking about?
What?
I was trying to think of what we were talking about beforehand. Oh,
We were still talking about veganism, but I was thinking in terms of like politics in general.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the likely outcome of in an impeachment of Donald Trump? What do you think? What do you think the response from the right would be if he actually successfully got impeached? How do you think that would play out?
Honestly, I have no idea. I haven't even been thinking that it's a possibility lately. I haven't even thought about what would even happen.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think like the messaging and like they would resist it pretty hard. I'm trying to think like would they refuse
so.
to leave office? Is my kind of question there.
Nah, Republicans don't know how to protest. They couldn't do it.
Are you
They only
kidding?
came out for the
January
they only
6th?
came out for... True.
If anything,
was
the
just
left
joking.
doesn't know how to
I think-
protest.
It's true. Yeah. No, we know how to peaceful protest.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, shoot, with saying that, then I guess we could make a few assumptions of what we think might happen with an impeachment. I think Donald Trump would probably fight it.
Yeah.
I don't think he would step down. If anything, I think he might call on the military,
Really?
like hold his power. Donald Trump. I don't think I could see Donald Trump stepping down, especially since he's already in the winter of his life. I could see that as a realistic
Oh,
possibility.
dang, that's scary. It's scary that we're even having this conversation legitimately, you know?
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh, welcome
No
back.
problem.
Oh,
Welcome back. Bartle says
I was
the early
just about
development
to
and
bring
production
up
of
that.
insulin is an interesting conundrum there, but thankfully it is largely synthetic now.
Yeah, because it was originally derived from pig pancreas.
Yep. Good old pig insulin.
What do you in that scenario, would it be like if animals are the only viable way to process it? Would that be ethical?
I think that gets into the nitty-gritty where I'm not sure I have a true answer to. It would have to be kind of hashed out in the sense that, okay, one human is equal to how many cows? One human is equal to how many pigs?
Yeah.
Or whatever the animal it is.
Do you think that... my question then is, do you think that one animal is equal to one human? Are they?
I
uneven
view
playing
humans above other animals. I view humans above animal.
field? Okay.
I on the spot, I don't think I could put a number on it. I would have to actually think about it more.
Yeah.
And so, but I would eventually come to a conclusion where, hypothetically, just for this example, pig insulin, when it originally was derived, if I came to the conclusion, one human is equal to 20 pigs, but it took 25 pigs to make insulin, to, enough insulin to continue the life of one human, I would be opposed to that.
Okay. That makes sense.
But everything kind of depends on a variety of factors, and
You would already have to know the outcome of what that insulin research would come to, anyways.
yeah.
Yeah.
To determine that as well. So.
And in the case of the original use of insulin, it was a wing and a prayer that it was going to work. There was a strong theoretical basis of it working,
Yeah.
but there was still a possibility that it didn't work. So that is still another thing to consider, is you're coming to the conclusion of the end goal, or sorry, I already said conclusion. You're already coming to a conclusion of what theoretically will happen in the future,
Yeah.
which is a big assumption to have.
Bartle says that all human lives are greater than animal lives, but human pleasure is less than animal lives is the principle I often see espoused.
Yeah, I have I mean, another way to view it is I view my family higher than strangers.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm going to go out and kill strangers so I can, eat them or do whatever. I still view that the strangers, even though I view them less than my family, I still think they should have rights.
Yes.
The same thing with animals is I view humans as more valuable than animals, but I still think those animals should have rights.
Totally. Yeah, I get that. What was that? What else can we pick your brain on? Ooh, actually, hold on. Sam, I have a fun
Yes, sir.
I have a fun little thought experiment for you. Why don't given your personal experience in life, okay? From what you know, from what you can, like your personal own world and understanding of reality and your own personal experiences.
Gotcha.
Can you explain to me how the Earth is round? Prove to me that the Earth is not flat.
How could I prove to you the Earth is not round?
Yes.
I've flown up pretty high, and I feel like I've seen a curvature. I'd say that's
just
pretty
airlines.
solid.
Commercial airlines do not fly high enough for you to see curvature.
Yeah.
No, I said I feel like it, so maybe I'm just
what you're seeing is either the effect from the window, or you're seeing just the edge of the disc curvature. You're not actually seeing the world curve.
It is the window. If you see it, it is the window.
It's the window, yeah.
I don't know if I have any way that I'd be able to prove that the world is round just through my personal experiences and stuff.
Really?
Are you pretty firmly believing that the Earth is round?
Yeah.
I firmly believe it.
Why?
I firmly believe it. I don't think I'm being lied to in mass. I feel like that require a lot of ifs. Like NASA would have to fake it. All the pictures would have to be faked. Then I feel like that'd be too large of a conspiracy to hide.
Honestly, I feel like that is a good. What do you think? Is that a good rebuttal to this line of reasoning, or no? Is that not justified enough?
Usually what flat earthers will say about that is that they're trying to hide something, and obviously that particular secret is really only known by the higher ups. Like in the same sense that only the president and the higher ups knows.
I have a feeling it ends up being Jewish people for some reason. I have a feeling that
I wouldn't be surprised.
All the way at the top, it always ends up as
I have a feeling it'll somehow turn into Jewish people for some reason. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, they usually say that there is some reason that the higher ups are doing it, and then they just want, the masses below them to be none the wiser for an unknown reason. And so since it's not like falsifiable, since they have zero reason, you can't falsify a non-reason.
Okay.
It works in their mind.
That sounds like to me?
Why that makes sense.
Paranoia. It sounds like paranoia.
It does.
Yep.
What's mathematically it can be done with the
Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes was the one who did the original
two sticks,
test.
two locations, angle of the shadows. Yes. However, using that test, as we discussed the other day, would require an assumption that the sun is at an infinitely distant point, and the light rays are
or mathematically
infinite.
But the other thing is that if it is a local source on a flat Earth, you can also still get the same results.
Yes. So that means that test would not be justified, right? Like it wouldn't be a good justification, at least in the flat earthers' view.
Yeah, because flat Earth is the math. That you could technically pick apart the math of a flat Earth localized light source. Is what they call it. But you would need to have a higher level of mathematical understanding that I personally don't have.
Yeah.
To explain, what distance would this light source be? How fast is it moving and stuff? Because you need to correlate all these things. But obviously the light source would be far closer to Earth than the sun currently is.
Mm-hmm.
And it would recreate the same.
Is that not refuted by the nature of eclipses?
No. You could still have the moon.
Yeah.
They're close as well, and it's just a lot smaller.
Yep.
It's far less massive, so then its effects on tides. Colloquial definition of gravity compared to flat Earth gravity, the tides would still be affected in the same way with their gibberish math.
Yeah.
And that's
So how do flat earthers explain like having long days or long nights at the poles?
Well,
How do they
they
explain
deny.
that
I
in
think
season?
I think they just deny that happens at all, right? I think they just don't think that happens.
At the South Pole, they'll deny it. North Pole, they'll fully
Oh.
accept it.
Oh yeah, because
but-
technically one pole can be explained by their map, but not both at the
By the
same
center
time.
of the map.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So on a flat Earth map, generally they have never actually made a consistent map.
True.
Your general flat Earth map, the very center of it is the North Pole, and then the latitude lines are actually just circles going away from that North Pole, and then the South Pole has the largest lines of latitude, and so the sun, as it circles these lines of latitude, slowly undulates between getting closer to the North Pole and then getting closer to the South Pole, which is what we see, ourselves.
Yep.
But our explanation is because of our precession around the sun and our tilt and yada 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 throughout the year.
Interesting.
The flat
That's
earthers
very
taken to the 24-hour sun experiment basically excommunicated the ones who went, didn't they?
I don't know the particulars about that, but if you go to the South Pole, you can see a 24-hour sun, which is impossible on
Yeah.
a flat Earth.
I've seen
I
a
think
video of
he's-
a guy who went.
Yeah, I think they're saying that the
went to
people who
Antarctica.
I think there was a community of flat earthers that got taken to an experiment, a 24-hour sun experiment, and then the rest of the flat earth community basically like just dismissed them and thought they weren't telling the truth, I think is what Bartle is saying here. I don't know, but if that did happen, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's so funny. I can totally see that happening though. I can totally see them doing that.
Have you guys
you
ever
could-
actually met a flat earther before?
In real life?
Not in
No.
real life,
No.
Yeah, neither
online many times.
Online, yeah, absolutely. They're all over the place online. What did I?
You can
Very loud.
You can even look up YouTube videos, because there's a bunch of research stations on the coast of Antarctica, and when it is summer
Half
in
of them
Antarctica,
are funded by flat earthers.
they're funded by flat Earth. Yeah, that's obviously the argument. But
Yeah.
if you want to see it yourself, people will set up cameras and it'll track the sun, and they'll have 24-hour daylight for however short of a stint of time, depending on their latitude.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think what was it? The funniest thing to me was this in real time. You saw the cognitive dissonance on Joe Rogan, a Joe Rogan podcast where he's talking with Matt Walsh, I think, and they're like discussing the flat Earth theory, and basically they're saying like, oh yeah, people that believe the flat Earth is like are stupid, right? Like flat Earth is so dumb. Like of course the Earth isn't flat. That's stupid. And then Matt Walsh like gets Joe Rogan to expand on it and says, hey, like what, like he's like, why do you what reasons do you have, like why do you think it's dumb? And Joe Rogan basically goes, oh yeah, like there's just the amount of coordination it would require for like all the world governments to hide this, and the fact that we have all this like images, and like the fact that it just would require such a massive conspiracy to hide it from the public, like that would just be insane and ridiculous, and of course someone would come out and say it by now. And he gives all this as reason. And then the very next, like literally 5 seconds after they are finished talking about flat Earth, they bring up the moon landings being fake. And then Joe Rogan is
Yeah,
like,
they do that a lot too.
and then Joe Rogan is like, oh no, I totally believe that one. Like, I think there's some
Oh
seriously
my
fishy going on
God.
there. And then Matt Walsh just like, wait a minute, doesn't the exact same reason you don't believe in flat Earth apply to the moon landings? Like, wouldn't it require a huge government like conspiracy of everyone cooperating? And then Joe Rogan's like, oh yeah, but
Oh.
like they could easily fake it. Well, and it's just like,
Oh
oh
my
my God,
God.
what?
I was like, I'm trying to brain dissonant break there.
Yeah, like how did? Yeah,
A
it's
true
just-
Chad
it's so funny
claim.
to watch it play out in real time. It's so funny. Oh,
I've
there's
never
a,
actually
Alright.
taken the time out of my day to really watch Joe Rogan before. Maybe it'd be entertaining. Just
there's
to
a
watch
reaction to
moments
the
like
whole
that.
event from Professor Dave Explains called The Final Experiment. Oh, okay.
No.
Maybe
Yeah, it's like a 2-hour long video. It's a long one.
Oh,
you know what,
That'd
Sam?
be a pretty good one.
we'll
I
pull
love
up-
Professor Dave Explains.
We're
I
gonna-
love this guy.
We're gonna pull up and watch the Joe Rogan episode here, so you
Oh,
can
yeah,
see
let's
it.
see it. Mm-hmm.
There was one Joe Rogan episode where he had a carnivore dieter and then a vegan that were talking to each other, and then the vegan just dumpstered the carnivore dieter. It's so fucking funny. I can't remember the names of who was on there, but he like had two people kind of head off.
I had a friend who was a carnivore eater only.
Yeah,
He was-
definitely an
He
interesting
got
thought.
really sick. So, surprise,
Yeah,
surprise.
when they don't poop after a week, it kind of hurts them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have my two last thoughts on veganism about topics that were discussed earlier, and then I got to get dipping out. So then
Okay.
you guys be freed of my presence.
Oh no, we've loved having you. You've been great.
Yeah. There was one where we were talking about extremism. I
Yeah.
consider myself a vegan extremist. Obviously, I don't do like anything illegal, but I'm definitely willing to kind of go out there and get out of my way and do what I can. And the general thought here, at least, was that extremism usually isn't particularly a good thing. So I would ask in response to that. Actually, one second. My wife's here.
I think the key is really incrementalism. I think Bartle was saying that, or
Yeah, it was
Donato
Bartle.
was saying it. Mm-hmm. I really think that's the golden ticket right there to really start introducing people to the idea.
All right, she just had one quick question.
Mhm.
So with extremism and how vegan extremism is usually viewed as negative, we'll go over something that we've already seen the results of, but we
Yeah.
see how the light has changed on how we view the result of this action. How do you
Okay.
guys view like Rosa Parks and what she did?
Obviously justified.
Yeah,
Justified,
pretty
even
positive.
though
I'd
at
say.
even though at the time she was definitely viewed as an extremist and put in jail, society thought that what she was doing was just going so too far. Why didn't she just? It was a simple thing of just sitting in the back of the bus. Why didn't she just do that? She could have done something else.
Mhm.
You look at Malcolm X and what he did. Although technically some things he did back then are still considered extreme today, but
Yeah.
a majority of what he did, people at the time, he was absolutely an extremist. But nowadays we all look at what he's done, and it was like a great step forward for civil rights.
Yeah.
And so in the same sense with a lot of extremist vegan actions, I think if people see some extremist vegan action, you would actually need to pick it apart to see if it's something that should be construed as extremist from the lens of we can kind of look into what the future might be like, and then denote if it is negatively extremist or not.
Yeah.
Where a lot of them today, I would wager a bet if a discussion were to be had about whatever the event, whatever
I think-
hypothetical extremist event
I
would
don't
occurred.
think of it in
they would be
terms of
okay with
like
it.
the actual action itself. For instance, well, first of all, Bartle says that there's not no place for drastic action within an incrementalist movement, and I agree with that. But what I think,
No, of
what I
course.
mean is like, basically, for instance, the the vegan teacher lady, the vegan.
Oh my
she's
gosh!
just-
Oh, I love her. But you go.
She's just like, but the thing is that like, there are people because of her that may have been open to veganism that completely shut it out now. They just think it's absolutely cringe. They hate it, think it's stupid. And I think that like a different approach for those people would have changed their minds otherwise. And I think that genuinely speaking, the good that she does accomplish, even like I'll admit that there might be some like marginal utility to what she's doing. I think that like whatever that marginal utility is that she is doing could be accomplished by other means that easily could be done by other people, as well as also reach the people who she's turning away. I think like that just like objectively is, at least in that one's case study, just bad across the board.
So the thing I have about Vegan Teacher, I've never been able to find the podcast since, and I'm so sad because it's a really good one.
Okay.
She is smart. She knows exactly what she's doing, and
Yeah.
she is intentionally inflammatory in her way.
Uh-huh.
She was on a podcast where she came out as like what she actually is trying to accomplish.
Uh-huh.
And the way she views it is that, like, I could list a bunch of vegan channels on YouTube that I like watch. They all have 10,000 viewers or like 10,000 subscribers at most.
Yeah.
And so
pretty
these
small
people
project.
that are doing like the logical, rational responses to things, have good arguments for why veganism is right, yada yada yada. She has like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and she gets enormous engagement for what she does.
Mm-hmm.
She intentionally is inflammatory because it gets more clicks, more people
Yeah.
see it. Some people might not even hear the term veganism before, but then the thought vegan pops up in their feed or whatever happens, however the YouTube algorithm works or what have you, and then they are then introduced to these rational vegans who otherwise never would have been noticed by any of these people. And then they'll look at these rational vegans and their argumentation, like Earthling Ed or what have you, and then they'll be like, "Oh, actually, the vegans have a really fucking good point."
Yeah.
And obviously, the vegan teacher doesn't want people to follow her to keep tabs on what she's doing and her forms of discussing things.
Yeah.
She wants people to go to her allies, other vegans that are then laying the foundation of what veganism is actually about.
Yeah.
Because you can't get the word of veganism out when you have a bunch of only rational vegan channels who are getting 10,000 subscribers, and then 95% of them are vegan anyway, so there's no outreach.
Yeah, I get it.
She's focusing on outreach. She knows that she is being inflammatory. She knows that, in her case, she is not personally a good advocate for veganism, but she's making a martyr of herself in a way to pave the way for other vegans to put the arguments out that need to be said.
But this is my point, is that, like,
I feel like she can isolate people sometimes.
What I was going to say is basically, like, imagine, though, like, if that's true, what you're saying, she is the first, like, vegan person people are coming across. Like, I don't think that's a good thing. I mean,
in the same sense, if we were to go to civil rights, like, the first time somebody has heard about the civil rights and they heard about Rosa Parks, it's like, okay, so why is this person fighting for civil rights and breaking the law? Why don't they just...
Yeah, but
why couldn't she think of something else?
Here's the tough question. We agree with what she did now, but is, like... And we think it's justified and we think it's right, and, like, I would advocate for that, but, like, what about the question, did she actually change people's minds about civil rights? That didn't come until much later.
Yeah,
right? The
like,
people
right
who
now,
actually changed people's minds were not Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was a symbol in the future of the civil rights movement, like, sort of materializing and starting to, actually push back against authority. But in the moment, she actually herself didn't do anything for civil rights. In the moment, right? Like,
she didn't allow herself to be oppressed on the bus.
And, like, now historically we can look back at that moment and be like, oh, that was really good. But in terms of, like, in the moment, did it actually accomplish anything in terms of changing people's minds and pushing people towards, more civil rights? No. And in the same way that, like, the vegan lady, she may not be who we look to. Like, in the future, we might look back at her and be like, oh, the vegan teacher lady, she was, like, right.
I don't know who this lady is, by the way, in this conversation.
She's just approaching it from another dimension.
Just look up vegan.
argue.
Just look up the vegan.
That
just
vegan
look up
teacher.
vegan teacher. Yeah, she's fun. But
she's an older lady. I mean, I love her. I think she's hilarious.
Yeah, I do too. I think she's really funny. But I think that it really rubs people off. Like, it really pisses people off in a bad way. But
yeah, it's a matter of let's see what everything is like in 100 years.
Yeah.
Or 50 years, or however long it takes.
But my point is that, like, would anyone, like, I agree 100% that what Rosa Parks did was courageous, was good, was morally just, was what should have been done, what was, like, a good thing. But, like, does that mean it was good for the civil rights movement is another question, right?
And a lot of people at the time would argue no.
Yeah, and I would say that it wasn't necessarily even now good for the movement itself. It was a morally just and good action that should be defended, and she should be applauded for it. And she did the morally just thing, and she did the right thing. But I think in terms of, like, asking whether or not that had a positive impact, or, like, not even necessarily a positive impact, but that, I feel like that's a weighted term, but, like, a material, substantive impact in the civil rights movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but I guess going back to the vegan teacher, like, we won't see how the impact ends up working out in the future.
True.
Because right now, obviously,
we have
obviously
no way of knowing
majority
how
of society
will play
vegan.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just in this particular case, the argument could go either way. Like, I support her. I agree with a lot of what she says. But if we were to think about as an objective measurement of if she was good or bad, we cannot know until the results actually reveal themselves in X amount of time, however long it takes for society to be majority vegan. Or in the case of Rosa Parks and civil rights, where, civil rights in the 60s was still on the climb to fully being accepted, another 10 years later or whatever. So it is a waiting game. And there are arguments going either way. I will not say with full authority, oh, she's doing the correct thing. There definitely are things that she probably did poorly. Yeah. Retrospectively, we can look at a lot of things and maybe like, oh, yeah, she was really wrong about this.
Something that, like, I will say is that, like, that she's doing something at all, right? Like, that's, like, just a morally commendable either way. Same way with like at the time, you still could say Rosa Parks was like, well, at least she was doing something, right? Like at least she's standing up for minority rights and for Black people's like civil rights and whatnot. And I think that's like I think that's the takeaway here is that like at least she's actually trying to make a change, even if we can say that, like, let's say even that like Rosa Parks somehow, which I don't think this is a correct read, but let's say that somehow we could prove that Rosa Parks was like bad, effectively actually negative for the movement, right? I think you could still individually say that her action was justified, even if it was like overall a bad effect on the civil rights movement, right? Because it's like, at least she's like a catalyst or like an event that like occurred that caused some sort of movement in the right direction, right? Even if like overall it was, net negative. So yeah, I think that's a good way to view her as well. But
and then Bartle's calling me out again, where he mentioned PETA. She's created more positive impact through the use of that tactic than PETA has through its various campaigns. I think PETA overall is definitely good for veganism.
I agree.
Yeah.
And animal rights. Like, they have other behind the scenes activism that they do. Like they've outlawed like testing on monkeys. They have on their website, they have a whole timeline of things that they've done where laws or policies were enacted because of their, pushing towards those things. And people focus too much on like very minor things PETA does, like, that billboard was distasteful. Because the most recent one that popped up on Reddit was they made that billboard about drinking dog milk. And people are like, what the fuck is wrong with PETA? I'm like, okay, you gotta like think about it. Like, why is it okay to drink cow milk but not dog milk? I'm like, come to that argumentation of why that is. And then the other thing is that there was the whole snafu of when PETA came through. It was like a trailer park or something like that, and they put messages out to everybody in the area saying, hey, we're coming to round up stray animals. So if any animals are yours, make sure you have a collar on them. We're coming this date from this time to this time. So if you want to keep the animals inside, that's totally fine too. They came through, they found many animals, one of which was claimed to be owned by a family with no collar that was running free through wherever, and they were euthanized. And then the family was outraged about it, and then society since then has been like, oh my god, they took a dog from a family and killed it. And they don't realize that the family was 99% to blame in that regard. There's another activist, Gary Yourofsky, a very powerful voice for veganism. He's like banned from a number of countries because he's an extremist. To the extent of extremism. He does not like PETA because he is opposed to euthanizing animals at all. Even in the case of like even in the case of
or humans and stuff.
Say that again.
He's
even when they attack humans.
Yeah, even when they attack humans.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Or he didn't. He only did stuff like he did property damage and stuff like that, but never to harm humans, just to help animals. And so he's opposed to euthanizing dogs and cats and stuff. The double-sided coin for PETA, to PETA's benefit, is that the reason that there are so many dogs and cats that they're being abandoned by families who buy them from breeders. So the breeders are the root cause. They're breeding all of these animals into existence in hopes that they can sell these animals to others. These other families will buy them, and then a lot of the time they abandon these animals. And so a lot of shelters exist to take these animals in hopes of adopting them off. And there's a very prestigious concept of a no-kill shelter where every animal they take in, they will adopt out. They will not euthanize a single animal. Without the help of PETA, that concept just would not exist.
Yeah.
God bless no-kill shelters. By the way, that's where I got my animals from. Thank God they exist.
Yeah.
The only reason they can exist is because organizations like PETA exist, where they'll take the flack, where you have an unwanted animal that will not succeed in life, and they euthanize it. So Gary's against that concept. But PETA takes the flack for things that makes other organizations look like angels. And in the end, people are blaming PETA when the root cause are these breeders and the people that are buying animals from these, so that the supply continues to exist because the demand continues to exist to breed more of these animals into existence.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
Overall, PETA's a really strong force for veganism. They pretty much collect W's left and right,
They're
and society
W collectors.
tries.
Hashtag PETA based.
But society keeps viewing them only for the negative things, which 99% of the time are out of context.
Yeah.
And then there's last thing I'll say before I gotta go. There's, I think it's like PETA kills animals.org or some shit like that. PETAkillsanimals.com. It's a website dedicated specifically to bring PETA down.
Oh God.
And if you look at like their funders, it's like animal ag companies. So people that own mass farms and everything, they're doing everything they can to throw PETA under the bus as best they can.
It's like
it's super
fucking oil companies pushing anti-climate change fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
It's the same thing, and that's, I mean, unfortunately, PETA, like vegans, ethical vegans in America are, I would say, less than 1% of the population.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they're like, Big Broccoli isn't an organization that exists.
Big Broccoli. No, you're just
What
underestimating. You just don't see. Big Broccoli is actually pulling the strings behind all of this. Okay,
It's always Big Broccoli.
always Big Broccoli.
They're behind everything.
That's
Big
gonna
Broccoli.
Look into the moon
closest
landings. You'll
associate.
find it. Turned out too.
But I mean, obviously, in America, we know that animal ag is an enormous force in politics. They get a shitload of money from subsidies and everything else to keep the cost of meat cheap, and it is within their financial incentive to try to eschew or downplay any work against them. And so this PETAkillsanimals.com website is almost entirely funded by them. To my knowledge, I haven't double checked.
Yeah.
But obviously, it would be smart for them to do it. And unfortunately, society, because vegans are the vast minority, PETA will be looked at as foolish for everything they do, even though I would say they are definitely, absolutely a force for good.
I'd say they're net positive, for
That's
sure.
good.
Even now, I would say they're a net positive, because on PETA's website, like I said before, I'm going to dig it up here quick. I'll share the link and then I'm going to dip out.
Okay.
PETA.
Yeah, I gotta leave too, so.
All right. Sounds good.
I think so.
I'm probably gonna end the stream after this. We watched this few minute clip of the Joe Rogan podcast because it's just funny, and I wanna laugh at him again.
He's fucking crazy. PETA, what? God damn it, PETA. What has PETA done?
I should do a Joe Rogan deep dive. I don't even really know why people dislike him. I mean, I've heard the talking points about why people dislike him. I know he promotes a lot of conspiracy theory stuff, but I've never actually listened to him talk really, ever.
Can't I find it? Because it's this nice timeline of everything that has happened.
You can throw it in the
Drop it into Discord.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. I'll find it later.
Yeah,
and
just
I'll
throw
drop
it in the Discord when you find
I
it.
can't
Put
find
it
it
in
right now.
the science chat or whatever. It doesn't really matter which one, but
I'm sure other people probably like to see it too.
Yeah.
Who probably aren't in the stream.
Yeah. All right, boys. I'm gonna
all right,
get
well,
going. It was
thanks
a
for
good
hanging
chat.
out. Good chat.
Yeah.
Glad we could talk.
Nice talking to you.
It's a good
I
time.
will check you guys another time. I'm sure I'll
Yep.
be around.
All right.
Peace.
See you.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
See you around. Peace. All right, let's see this Joe Rogan.
All right, yeah, let's watch this Joe Rogan real quick. Let me pause the music.
Cool dude. Always like talking to vegans. Always encourages me.
You don't even have to use propaganda anymore. These morons are.
Cheers. Thanks for stopping by, Bartle. Enjoyed
Yeah,
your
see you later,
commentary and being involved in the conversation as well. It was a good time. And yeah, thanks. Join the Discord if you haven't already, or if you want to. The Discord link, I pinned it at the top of the chat. You can join the Discord. It's a community Discord where we'll have more conversations. Maybe you can join in the call next time and have a chat with us as well. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. It was fun chatting.
Doing it
Yeah,
for
see you around.
The thing that gets me about the flat Earth thing is because I didn't realize that it was a real thing until
See
I
this
don't know,
Joe
a few
Rogan
years ago.
fella.
I wrote,
Oh, I
I
should probably,
posted something about it. and
unmute
all
screen
these
here.
comments from real people that
Here, wait, let's.
what gets me is, well, you get the people that say, yeah, I think the Earth's flat, and that's you're just really stupid. But what I was more fascinated by the 80% of people who 80% of the flat Earth crowd, 80% of them, their take was, well, I'm not saying the Earth is flat, but I'm open to it. So I'm open to the possibility. How are you? I get it if you're just completely stupid and you got sucked into this cult thing, but what I don't get is how can you be on the fence about the shape of the Earth?
Yeah.
Well, it's just people that really are not educated. That's number one. And people that believe that there's a collusion that's so large that all of the space agencies from Japan, from China, from Russia, all of them are liars. That all of them are colluding together to hide the true shape of the Earth, because if we really knew the Earth is flat, then we would...
Hey, can you share on your stream?
It always is connected to some
Or
sort
on
of a Bible.
like through Discord
thing.
and stuff? I'm like 10 seconds behind, methinks.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Okay, yeah. Let me
Yep,
just
yep,
share it
yep.
on Discord as well. Let me go bloop 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 bloop. We'll share screen.
Oh, Donko.
We'll just do picture in picture. There we go.
There we go.
And then
There we
we'll
go, let it rip.
rewind it a little bit.
About the shape of the Earth.
Well, it's just people that really are not educated. That's number one. And people that believe that there's a collusion that's so large that all of the space agencies from Japan,
Knowing where this is gonna
from
end
China,
up, this is
from
hilarious.
Russia, all of them are liars. All of them are colluding together to hide the true shape of the Earth, because if we really knew the Earth is flat, then it always is connected to some sort of a Bible thing. Like it's the firmament, and they believe that we're hiding the fact that God is real, and somehow there's some mass conspiracy that all these world governments and every person
Wow.
ever
This is such
was
a good
involved
response.
in the space
This
agencies.
is so
they've
smart.
all
This is
hid
solid.
from us.
Yeah.
How'd you get?
And
I need to see what he says
You're
about
the moon landing. You're
the
not
moon landing theory thing.
You believe in the moon landing, right?
I used to believe in the moon landing.
You don't anymore?
I had a joke
Holy shit.
that before COVID, I would have told you vaccines the most important invention in human history, and after COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon.
Yeah, I know that was in
Maybe-
your, but
yeah.
you actually think that.
Whoa.
Maybe there's a
Whoa.
maybe like I wish do some inspection into yourself. Maybe your change of perspective there.
Just dig 20 seconds ago.
Yeah. Maybe
Just dig
you need
20
some
seconds ago.
God.
I think there is a less than zero possibility that we did not go to the moon. Oh my gosh. I know. Why do you think we went to the moon?
Because it's exactly what you just said about, well, there's a lot of reasons. But the main thing is what you just said about the Earth. The vastness of the conspiracy that would be required to fake that. It's so vast that it's a lot more incredible to believe that we faked it than to believe that we just went. And going to the moon, it's a massive achievement. But I think the greatest human achievement of all time. But even so, to fake it would be even more massive, because not only would you need all of these space agencies and all the different whatever people in American institutions to be colluding, but you'd also need foreign governments, including adversarial foreign governments,
Yep.
who at this point
Enemies
certainly would
will
know we
work
faked
together.
it,
Yes.
and for some reason haven't blown the lid on it. So they're letting us take this achievement that they know. Like, why haven't the Russians come out and said
All those things you're saying are true.
You're like, no,
Right,
we landed on the
I don't
moon.
argue with any of the things you're saying. But one of the things that I think you have to consider was if it's not possible for human beings to safely go through the Van Allen radiation belts and out into deep space without much protection and face the temperatures that are on the surface of the moon, which get up to 250 degrees and 250 degrees below zero in the shadows. There's no environment there. It's hostile beyond belief. Micrometeorites are flying into the moon all
and
the
now
time.
he's just going
They're
into
flying through space all the
conspiracy
time.
theory
We've never
science.
had a single biological organism go out into deep space, past the Van Allen radiation belts, and then come back to Earth and come back alive, except human beings during the Apollo missions. Every single space station mission, every single space shuttle mission, all of them are inside 350 miles from the Earth's surface. The only time human beings have ever been past that and through the Van Allen radiation belts was the Apollo missions. And we were the only humans that were ever able to do that. The Russians never figured out how to do it. No one else figured out how to do it,
Yeah, but
but
why- that
the
doesn't
Apollo
answer.
astronauts. And
Why
we did
wouldn't
it
they
7
answer?
times, 6 successfully from 1960.
Why wouldn't they expose it? That's just like that doesn't answer the question.
Exactly, because if it, yeah, I mean, maybe I'm assuming he's going to say that only like the U.S. head officials would know about that. But as soon as I feel like
This is
I don't
the
know, I
reason
feel
why
like
I'll never
anybody would
believe
expose
any
that.
like major government conspiracy. The reason why I'll never believe any like super like massive one, like on this scale, is because of the Clinton sex scandal. Okay, like
oh
can't-
yeah, like
if you can't
scandals are
hide-
blown up in the
you can't-
instantly.
yeah, if you can't hide getting a blowjob in the white like the Oval Office, how the fuck are you gonna hide the greatest like plot hoax in the history of humanity? Like,
Exactly.
how can you like? It's insane.
It makes
Someone
no
would
sense.
someone would tell. Someone would someone would expose it. But yeah, it's just dumb.
My ex one time told me that she thought the moon landing was fake, and I'm like, I never want to hear you say that again. I need you to go home and you need to do a ton of research
Yeah.
on the moon landing. And if you ever say that to me again, I'm breaking up with you. I'm like, there's no way.
That's so
I
funny.
can't be dating somebody who's believes the moon landing's fake. That'd be contrary to like everything I believe in. Wouldn't be able to do it.
Well, thank you everybody for watching that was here. But end of stream